All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time here. It's a Friday night on Sportswire Radio, so we're going to recap what's going on here in the world of WWE, especially after what we just saw here on SmackDown. We're going to get you ready for Survivor Series, War Games. We're going to get you ready for what's going on here later on in the NFL, Major League Baseball, a bunch of different other things. But to kick the night off for us here is our senior wrestling analyst, a man that dabbled in that world very briefly. He's also the host of the Hockey Fan Chat, Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, but the man that's going to be there at Survivor Series next Saturday there in Vancouver, Mr. Randy Dillon. Randy, maybe we should call you Nostradamus. Maybe we should call you the Prophet, Randy Dillon, because you called it, and boy, did you call your own shot. You got it right. And for those that are listening and watching here in prime time, the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the platform that Randy Dillon helped build here on Sportswire Radio, tell us why you called your own shot here.
Called my own shot here, Tom, for last week. I said it. I believe CM Punk was going to be the fifth member. I was doubting after the call. I said it could be John Cena, maybe Seth Rollins, but CM Punk made the ultimate sense, and I was surprised. I didn't think it would not happen till Saturday at War Games. He would have been, everyone's wondering who that fifth man's going to be, but him showing up a little early makes things very interesting.
So what are you saying? You would have waited till the go home next Friday?
I think the go home next Friday would have made more sense, but I understand they're doing a recording for SmackDown next week because of Thanksgiving, and I think that's a good thing as well. We want families to be together on Thanksgiving. They didn't, especially you can hear the tales for wrestlers, the travel they got to do, so it's a nice thing TKO doing. But no, I think, you know what? Get the excitement rolling, get people more excited. We're going to see CM Punk in a War Games match.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And, what did you make of that whole moment with Roman and Punk there?
The one thing I made notice, not even with Roman and Punk, did we not see Heyman smirking kind of in the background? He wasn't the same wise man, the same advisor. This was a guy who was more just sitting in the background, waiting to see what was going to happen. Like, he wanted to see some explosion.
Well, I mean, I think you have to put your headphones back on. But, I mean, it's been 4 months. I mean, it was 4+ months. And, I think the history there, Punk and Heyman reunited for the first time in well over a decade. And it's a different Heyman. But Heyman, who knows what else he's got up his sleeve, especially at the event itself. I mean, right now, Punk is on the same side. But we never really know with Paul Heyman.
Oh, Paul Heyman,
Remember, Roman looked surprised tonight, by the way. This was not Roman. Remember, we know last week we spoke about the phone call. The phone was disconnected. So, really, this was Heyman at his own volition. So, the way Roman looked tonight, we still don't know where this is going with Heyman and them. We can't just assume that the OG Bloodline and Heyman, everything's hunky-dory.
I don't think it is, Tom. Like, you watch him, he was smirking in that background. Like, this is something he would do if he.
And you said it last week to call your own shot further. Heyman's never a good guy.
No, Heyman, like, never a good guy. You can't trust Heyman. Like, you can trust Heyman if he's gonna help you succeed, but Heyman never been someone to be on a face front. So it's like, I understand Heyman doesn't want to be with Solo, but he doesn't want to be with Roman. But is he gonna be with the final boss maybe come next Saturday?
Well, that's an interesting point there. So, I mean, Punk and the Bloodline. So, what do you make of this dynamic?
It's a combustible element between Roman and Punk. Punk's his own guy. He's not someone who's going to be barked around. You can see Jimmy and Sammy saying, okay, we'll follow. Jay already told him, you know what, I'll follow your lead, but I'm not going to kind of sit back. You better respect me. Punk's been a guy from day one. He doesn't follow anyone.
And how about the irony of the fact that the original Roman was Punk?
Exactly. That's
the original. And think about this. In the last, 40 years, right? Who's the two longest champions in WWF, WWE, WWF history since Hogan, right? It's Punk and Roman. How about that irony?
Exactly. So it's going to be combustible. So I'm very interesting what's going to happen on Raw and SmackDown leading up to Survivor Series, because I don't think they're all going to Roman and Punk. Can they be on the same page? I think there's.
I want to ask you about that in a minute. I want to say hello to a couple of people here. First of all, who are tuned in. A man that is here often. I am talking about a legend who I don't know why he's up at 3:13 in the morning. Who, by the way, the Tribal Cheese. I just saw you on Bentley's TikTok. You were watching. There was a spot with him and Rarebit. I believe it was in Bolton Town Wrestling. Go check Bentley's TikTok. Definitely go do that. My mother is here, who probably knows nothing about WWE, but is tuned in because I sent her the link, and she's actually up this time. She probably want to tune in more later on when I talk about the Jets and Giants, because that'll be kind of a funny segment there. But she is here. I want to say hello to her. So one person that's usually in bed, another person that usually might be just getting up, is also here. And my mother laughed, but I was maybe not so much laughing going back here to New York City, because it was quite a mess here. We hadn't had rain in like the last 2 months, and the last 2 days felt like it was definitely like Seattle, Washington there. But okay, well, we'll say hello to her. Hope she enjoys before she falls asleep. Oh, so I'll talk Tyson and Paul in a little while. I will talk about Tyson and Paul. I have a few things to say about that. I did watch the fight. I can't tell you how I watched the fight, but I did watch the fight. So I do want to talk about that for sure.
From what I can tell from Tyson and Paul, what I read, Tom, it seemed like it was something Vince would have wrote up, kind of like what people were talking about.
Well, I mean, you know what? I'll dive into it because my mother's here and she's asking about it. I mean, was Tyson and Paul a setup? I think it was definitely fixed.
Yeah.
I definitely think that fight, I mean, listen, the first round, Tyson gets in a couple of shots. And then afterwards, it was pretty much like Mike Tyson was 58 and Father Time caught up with him. And then the last 3 rounds of the fight, Jake Paul was pretty much, I mean, if anybody else would have killed Mike Tyson, but the fight was pretty much, it was going the distance. You know, he got his 10 million. You know, Netflix was happy. No question that to me that was the fix. I mean, Tyson wasn't knocking out a 27-year-old guy. He wasn't knocking him out at this point. I mean, the Tribal Cheese might think differently because I think he's met Mike Tyson, actually. I think
I don't disagree with Mike Tyson's ability. I think he's still maybe a phenomenal athlete, but what we've seen with wrestlers, we've seen with hockey players, Tom. Father Timed out there. It's like
in hockey, well, we saw one a few years ago, Jaromir Jagr, who was in the All-Star game at 44, and he kept playing. Chris Chelios was in the league until he was, 47? I want to say 47 or 48. I mean, so you do get this from time to time. And obviously in wrestling, Ric Flair just can never quit. And then, also speaking of things real quick, I mean, today is the 34th anniversary of the debut. 34 years ago, The Undertaker debuted in the WWF. I wonder if my mother knows what The Undertaker is. Maybe she was from way back in the day in Brooklyn. But, what'd you think about that? 34 years of The Undertaker.
34 years of listen, The Undertaker, he had I know what people say, Hogan, you look at WWE and you look at I'm not talking about general wrestlers, but in WWE history, some of the top guys, The Undertaker in my eyes is that top guy.
I think in terms of and we'll come back to the current, because I want to talk a lot about the Bloodline. I watched the entire SmackDown tonight. I want to talk about Cody. I want to talk about Kevin. But, I mean, in terms of longevity in that company's history, there's no question he is probably the greatest main event wrestler. I don't know if he's the greatest draw, but in terms of wrestlers that have probably wrestled in the most main event matches, it's got to be The Undertaker because of the sheer longevity.
I would say him and Cena are probably up there, the top 2 draws.
Yeah, I mean, if you were to phrase it in how many main events, I would say, that I think The Undertaker, though, would probably still have the edge just because, I mean, he was pretty much right out of the box main eventing. I mean, he was, they had him 9 months in feuding with the Ultimate Warrior. He reminds me of, I think when I was a kid, maybe I'll say this, my mother is here. She used to always say my father should have been a wrestler because he was a big man. He used to really take his aggression out at me because, I was, out of line all the time, Randy. We see that here on Sportswire, but, he really wasn't a big wrestling fan. So he didn't do that, but maybe that's the field he should have went into. But then again, hey, who knows? But, 20 million Tyson guy. I didn't realize it was 20. I heard it was 10, but, that maybe we'll see Mike Tyson back in WWE then, since Netflix, Mike Tyson, I guess.
Talked about him. I know they were talking, but I gotta think it's gonna be a short segment. They're not gonna do a big fight like they did last time.
Well, I think at this point, Mike Tyson's not fighting anymore.
I could see maybe if they do something with Logan Paul, come back and have him at Jake Paul would be in his
Yeah,
corner.
you could have a segment. I mean, you could certainly recognize
and then
it.
Tyson could be in the guy's corner who fights Logan Paul, possibly. So.
Yes, my dad did love boxing. He actually fought one fight. He was 1-0 as a fighter. Yes, he did fight, and we did watch the Golden Gloves one year in growing up. I went to the Golden Gloves one year. Yes, he loved boxing. Wrestling, not so much. But yeah, Tyson, I mean, listen, it was kind of sad to see, actually. It was pretty sad to see because he couldn't lift the punches up. Then you see when his leg had like a brace on, he couldn't move, unfortunately. I felt sorry for Mike Tyson, I got to be honest. I really felt
it's like that match with The Undertaker, I would say, with Roman Reigns. Like, it just wasn't, you felt bad for Taker because he just wasn't, you remember these great images.
You want to remember them at their peak. I want to remember The Undertaker with the wars with Triple H and Shawn Michaels. I want to think about the wars that The Undertaker had, even with Kevin Nash, Diesel, WrestleMania 12.
Like, how much of that was? We don't want to remember him in Goldberg.
Stone Cold.
We don't want to remember him in Goldberg.
I do not want to talk about Goldberg being in the room. But yeah, I appreciate you, but my mom tuned in and now wants to watch The Housewives of Orange County. Well, I can understand that. I do have 1,300 plus subscribers. I would think you'd want to stay here, but that's okay. It's all good. I appreciate that very much. Thank you very much for tuning in. We love you, and we hope you have a great rest of the evening. But let's go. Yeah, he was a greedy mess. Who was a greedy? Oh, Tyson. I don't know. Was Tyson a greedy mess? Well, I mean, he blew a lot of his money. Randy. I get advised all the time not to blow all of my money. So my mother probably would like me to hand it over, but maybe in due time. Maybe I'll pass the baton in a few years. But guess who's here with us? I think I know. By the way, got to give a shout out to our buddies in Roseburg, Oregon, because I think I know who's here with you, by the way, RTG, because I think we're going to see you in that guest Monday night, right? Monday night, right? Wink and a nod. But yeah, I'm a greedy mess as well. But thank you for that. All right, so let's come back to it. So the bloodline, we got it 1 week early. So what do you expect then with the OG bloodline? How do you think this will all develop? One for the go home show coming up here.
The go home show is there's going to be tension. As I said, there's going to be tension between Roman and Punk because we've seen with Roman the bloodline, he still wants, like you saw it even earlier when they said, okay, let's ask Cody Rhodes. I can ask Sam. Jay said, let's Sami Zayn. Roman's like, no. And they're like, all right, we'll listen to you. CM Punk's not going to do that. There's going to be tension. There's going to be anger. Punk expecting to win. And I think for the advantage match,
you got alpha male, and that's what it comes down to. And yes, thank you, Mom, for tuning in. And Tyson was a greedy mess. Reminds me of a couple of my political employers. Former Congressman Michael Grimm, who has a GoFundMe account for his medical benefits. Heshy Tischler, who was here a few weeks ago, another one of my former, soon-to-be current employers, and former state senator Marty Golden. They were definitely greedy individuals, but we love them because they gave me a paycheck. But that's a different show for a different time. But obviously, yeah, I mean, what do you think Heyman does here? Now, Heyman's got these two guys. Now, there's going to be tension right off the bat because Punk was Heyman's first guy. We know the history way back. I mean, we're talking a long history. In many ways, Punk has got a more longer, prolonged history with Heyman than Roman does. So what do you think's going to happen? I would have to imagine Heyman's going to be in the middle of a segment with them next week.
I think Heyman's going to stir the pot here. I really do. Heyman's going to stir the pot, talk something with Roman, talk something with Punk to try to get these guys off page. Like, I think, again, you said, Tom, Roman's face, it wasn't just, I'm happy to see you. It was like, wait, what, you're here and you didn't tell me? It's not that where you see along a relative for so long, like, oh my goodness, I'm so happy to see you, let's hug. It was like, it's like you see that you're walking down the street, you see your ex-boss, and you're like, what? I don't want to see you.
Randy, I run into all of my ex-bosses from my political career. Heshy Tischler was here, wished me happy birthday, and wished me congratulations on 1,000 subscribers. I mean, Steven Saperstein tunes in here. Angela comes in here, was sort of my boss, kind of, co-worker. I mean, I have that happen all the time. Heshy Tischler, I just mentioned. I mean, I get them all the time. All my former political employees that I've employed me tune in all the time. So it is weird and awkward. Very weird. It's very weird.
And I think Roman, he had them questioned for the wise man because Remember, like I think Heyman said he loved Roman Reigns. He'll do anything for the wise man. How heartbroken he was after Solo was running Shaw, bringing the Tongas. Then Jacob fought too, and then all of a sudden he just shows up without even conquering a plan.
So what do you think that? All right, so let me ask you a different question with Heyman. Now he referenced what happened 4+ months ago in Madison Square Garden, which interesting to note, Randy. I was literally in front of Madison Square Garden this afternoon on my way to my job that I had for the day. I walked past Pennsylvania Plaza and Madison Square Garden, all that stuff, 30th Street, 31st Street. So that's kind of interesting, kind of cool note. But he referenced that. But do you think there's any way that Heyman would swerve this and will be in cahoots with Solo? I mean, this is Heyman.
No.
That's why
I don't think Heyman's in cahoots with Solo at all. I think Heyman wants Solo to go down as well because Heyman. Listen,
does he?
Listen, Heyman got thrown through a table for Brock, and we haven't seen them talking on camera for a while. So in 2022,
we also haven't seen Brock in a WWE ring, and who knows there.
But I don't think Heyman wants. I think Heyman remembers those things. Even you remember his days in ECW, or even with that horrible version of ECW in 2006 in WWE. When someone crossed Heyman's like, I'm going to get
we saw the ECW NXT thing a few weeks ago, and that was better than the entire, 3-year reboot.
Yep, that pretty much sums it up, Tom.
Well, that's, scary thing in the Tribal Chiefs. Yeah, definitely message me on Facebook. I definitely got to bring you back on because Strange, aka Prince Dagon's on next Friday afternoon, and he's back for the first time in 9 months. And I think it's time that the Tribal Cheese comes back here before the year is out. So yeah, let's definitely have a chat because I definitely think it'd be time to bring you back. But and he's up here. We thank him for that. Zilla's here. I want to say hello to Zilla. I want to say hello to my friend Texas Red, a.k.a. Mr. Rocky, the owner of our friends in Texas Promo Wrestling. I got to give Rocky and the gang a big plug because they have really been helping us out on Sportswire. They got us a whole new audience. They got us a lot of new people coming onto the platform. Let me give them a holler. Let me give them a shout out. Go follow Rocky and the gang because some of them are tuned in. Some of them are in and out. I got messages from a lot of the guys here, so check them out. And that's Texas Promo Wrestling, and that's their page. That's their story. They're sticking to it. So check them out. They're one of the premier promo wrestling companies around, and we love having them. And Rocky's back next weekend, Texas Red. He's here the following week. No, 2 weekends from now. I stand corrected. So check that out there. Okay, so I guess we'll see how that develops. Okay. But what about Cody Rhodes? Now, obviously, that was a name thrown out there. We know that is not going to be the fifth man. But I heard some interesting things about him and Kevin Owens. It sounded like maybe Survivor Series. But then, Randy, again, another reason why you might be a Nostradamus. Another reason why you might be a man that could forecast all these things. And you seem to know what you're doing here pretty much. And that's why you're our senior wrestling analyst, where it also was mentioned Saturday night's main event, not too far from where I live. And so what's going to happen there in that whole tense standoff between Owens and Orton?
This is getting interesting with Owens and Cody because they're right around the corner for Survivor Series. They were going to announce a match. The match should have been announced unless Cody.
But they didn't. But they flipped in Saturday night's main event.
I think they're saving it for Saturday night main event,
which is what you talked about last week on the show.
Which I think it bringing back Saturday main event, how big tradition was, and I think it builds more time to focus on Cody and Kevin. And then I think after the War Games, this will be the main priority for WWE because we know probably Roman's going to disappear for a while. Punk might disappear till the Rumble, but I think they're going to build up for then. I think it's a good way to get going because you're going to we see this aggression from Kevin on the different side. I think.
Well, how about the line that he said he loved Randy, but he didn't like Cody? What about that line?
Exactly, and then we saw Cody Rhodes throw out some truth, saying, "Listen, you had your shot at Bash of Berlin, and you failed. You didn't take it. You sabotage yourself." And
what about the fact that Kevin talked about, which predates Cody, he talked about he was feuding with the Bloodline for 4 years. Where was Cody? He was somewhere else, and he was, and Roman Reigns tried to ruin Kevin Owens and end his career. Where was Cody Rhodes? And he referenced that.
Exactly, and then he talked about him WrestleMania, how he tried helping him. He was there celebrating with him last year, and it's really how everything's tying in here. Because we go back to Bash of Berlin, Tom. We were talking about why are they having this match. Now you look at it, that was just a microcosm to this whole story that is really picked up. And the other thing I gotta think is, to add on top of it, I gotta think Kevin Owens staying with WWE, because there's no reason they would be giving him this big of a push, this momentum before his contract's expiring.
Well, we saw the whole thing play out with Drew McIntyre, right? We saw that whole situation play out. I mean, could they go the same route and let's just say use the contract as an angle, or you don't think in this case?
I don't think they're going to use the contract for the angle. I think they're really trying to build Kevin Owens as this top, like I don't know if a top heel, but a strong,
I was going to say, I don't know if I buy Kevin Owens as a top heel.
He's going to be a strong heel where he's just going to be dangerous. And I like this. This isn't Kevin Owens, the backstabbing best friend. I think it's better. The Kevin Owens we're seeing is a guy who thinks he's right. He's like, I try to do everything.
Well, he made a point that if you really think about it, you strip it all down, he didn't change. He talked about from all throughout COVID that he battled the bloodline, and he namely battled Roman Reigns. Cody Rhodes was not here. He was not. And on top of that, Kevin Owens helped or attempted to help Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 39. And Cody Rhodes didn't really reciprocate when Kevin Owens had his own problems. And I think that that's really what this issue is. And that's why Kevin Owens, once again, he referenced and blamed Cody Rhodes for all the problems right now. And especially when it came to Randy Orton.
Yep. Unfortunately, and I think the thing with Kevin Owens as well, where he said, Cody, Roman asked you to be your partner, and you jumped on that. It wasn't like a hesitation, I got to do this, or this might, it was like you jumped on it. And I think that would irritate Kevin Owens more. And the fact that Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton was trying to be peacemaker, saw Kevin Owens' mind that Randy Orton he might next say, I'm going to team with the Bloodline and Roman Reigns. I can't have that.
Well, I feel like we spoke about this, and I feel that this is going to eventually lead to Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton.
Yep. That's the next step, I think, because Randy Orton's going to return. And
but when do you think that
closer to Rumble? I would have to say closer to Rumble, the first Raw on Netflix. Because I'm going to say Randy Orton's going to return.
We're building that up tonight, by the way. Did you see how many times they referenced Netflix?
Well, hopefully they get the buffering fixing so we don't have the same.
Well, speaking of that, that was, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a little while when Alan Michaels comes on here. But that was pitiful watching that feed. But do you have Netflix, by the way? Do you have it?
I haven't used Netflix in a while. So.
I don't think I'm going to get it, to be honest. I mean, I'm sure there'll be. I have
to. That's the only way you can watch W Now Canada as of 2025. So
I did see also that the WWE network is ending in Europe as well. I noticed my UK friends, the Tribal Cheese included, I would know this as well, that the UK version around the world for the WWE network is ceasing to exist. And that first Raw is going to take place here January 6th on Netflix. And okay, so I guess then ultimately Orton you would hold off on until the Rumble, or would you bring him back the first Raw in Netflix in Los Angeles? So what do you do there?
That's first Raw on Netflix Los Angeles. They're pulling up all the stars. If you didn't see the promo video last week, they had Cena.
I'm sure you read it. They were saying Roman was going to be on Raw a lot coming up these first several shows.
The Rock, you can probably bet he might make an appearance there. So does Orton returning there? Or I could see Orton.
Well, The Rock has to show up because his movie Red One bombed. Did
yeah, you see that's the thing. So
oh my God! A $250 million or a 200 million pound budget for our UK listeners. It only drew 34 million in America in the box office. I was speaking with one of my friends about this, who I saw in my community 2 days ago about this. So The Rock, I think, is going to be on eventually.
I think The Rock should maybe at this point just stick to staying in WWE. I'll get more of an attraction.
I was even hearing that he has two Melania movies coming out at the same time. One's a live action.
Yeah, that is just weird.
Well, that's why we're going to see The Rock a lot more then. So, Randy, you may bring Randy Orton back at Netflix, or you wait a little past.
I guess depends how many hours. If it's 2 hours, you don't have the time. 3, I could see him return given RKO, but it makes more sense to bring him back on SmackDown. Maybe you bring him after Saturday Night Main Event. possibly to add some, because you could put the seeds more for Cody versus Orton to set up maybe for that match at the Rumble. I'm not too sure. So,
all right, well, that's some good points there. All right, so we'll go back into that. And what did you think of the whole situation with the women's war games? You know, Rhea Ripley was back here on SmackDown again. Bianca gets taken out. We see that develop a little bit. Bayley gets beaten up. I mean, what do you make of the women's war games now?
The one thing I'm trying to make of the women's war game is who attacked Jade Cargill. I think that's the question right now. Because
Any ideas for the audience?
I think
you usually are pretty good at these things.
My guess is hunching towards Charlotte Flair a little bit because I think she's close to returning, and this could. And the rumor talks has always been we want Charlotte versus Jade. This is one way.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of similarities. We've talked about that when Jade Cargill was in AEW. There's a lot of similarities, the backgrounds. All right, that would be.
They say Naomi, but I don't think turning Naomi heel at this point going to really do
I don't even think
more.
Has Naomi even been a heel before?
She has been a heel a little bit, but I think right now, like, just turning her heel doesn't make sense. You have enough strong heel women on SmackDown with Nia Jax, Candice LeRae.
Charlotte's always been more of a heel than a face.
Yeah,
which would make sense.
I think Charlotte Flair makes a lot more sense to be the one to take out Jade Cargill for sure.
Okay, all right, that I could see that. Any other things you want to talk about on the women's end? I mean, we saw the U.S. title match earlier in the show.
Hey, it's a shame it's not taking place in Vancouver because Chelsea Green should win a championship there. That might be the only time someone for Vancouver win a championship in Rogers Arena from Vancouver because we know it's not going to be the Canucks for a while. So.
Unfortunately, that might be the case, but that would be kind of interesting. That would be clever, but. And what do you think on Tiffany Stratton and Candice LeRae and Nia? What do you think?
This is interesting because I don't know where LeRae kind of fits in. I know they're trying to build her up, but it's kind of like with her relationship with Nia, is it more going to be setting up for Nia now want LeRae around her because she's worried Tiffany's going to cash in? Like we saw the segment on SmackDown where they were bickering the middle of the match, was kind of hilarious.
I'm with you. I don't really see the meshing of Candice LeRae and Tiffany Stratton. No. I don't know. I don't see it.
I don't see it. I think maybe, they're trying to get LeRae to be with her because she's younger and can mentor her a little bit more. But I think that's why they have her Nia. And I think Nia's done a great job.
But I just feel Candice LeRae is not, I hate to say this, but not in the same fear or
she's
sphere.
Not like you look at her record in NXT. I think she had maybe one women's championship match. She was a favorite, then a heel, and then she kind of went in and out of the picture. You look at WWE, I think they've done a little bit better job building her up lately, but I still think it's going to take some time. She's nowhere close to be like a top competitor. Like Tiffany's, if you compare the two between Tiffany Stratton and Candice LeRae, they're that huge different.
Well, Tiffany Stratton she's going to be another one of these vixens. It's pretty clear to me she's going to be in the vein of a Trish Stratus and Mandy Rose, who she gets compared to all the time. And, all these different names you've seen in the past. So to me, that's where Tiffany Stratton's going.
But one thing with Tiffany Stratton is she can back it up with her in-ring talent.
Trish Stratus was very good in the ring.
Trish Stratus was good. Mandy
Rose got a lot better. I mean, don't forget the NXT run.
NXT run, but we saw her first little bit. It was just eye.
But she got there. She got there. And we'll never really know Mandy Rose again. Well, she doesn't need to because she uses her assets in ways that I'm sure pays for a lot more of the bills.
Hey,
but
she had a love. If you saw some of her photos for a wedding, it was very beautiful.
I've seen a lot of her photos on social media. I get asked about them all the time, but I will tell you this much, that's where Tiffany Stratton is. She's in that lane, that obviously mainstream potential press media. I don't necessarily know if Candice LeRae's in there. No. They're going to try to make it work out.
She's much older than Tiffany Stratton as well. I think Candice LeRae, with the U.S. title, this might be a perfect spot for her because you need those type of comparators in that situation.
Well, it's a big win for somebody to win the U.S. title. We talked about this last week on the show. It's a huge moment for somebody there to have that that championship there. So, we'll certainly get to some other things here. Let me get to some comments. I want to run through the chat. There's some other people that tuned in. Zilla is in the house. I see Zilla all the time. And Zilla, we're going to be here at 10 o'clock tomorrow. I'm going to be here at 10 o'clock Eastern time with the YBW champion, Dominic. Dominic will be here. He'll talk about the names like Aaron Blaze and Magnum Carter and some other people. And before that, Randy, I'm going to the movies. Hopefully, Gladiator 2 will be as good as Survivor Series. Some people say, not so much, not so good, but I'm going to see it, and I'll let you know what I think next week. But in the meantime, we're here now, and Dominic is here tomorrow at 10 o'clock Eastern time, so we're excited about that. Hello to Randy. Yes. Killshot was here. Yes, he is definitely the last shot, but he never misses, and he has plenty of shots left. The Tribal Cheese did formally want to call you a legend. That's a big deal because he's a big influencer on TikTok. He's got like thousands upon thousands of followers on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and he meets all the WWE stars. He meets all the actors. He just met Michael Douglas. He met Michael Douglas. He was hanging out with him. He was getting invited. Maybe he was telling him about to come on to Sportswire. Probably not. I don't think that was going to go over very well. But, okay, we ran through these comments. Zilla doesn't watch boxing. Yeah, well, that really wasn't a boxing fight. That really wasn't much of a boxing fight, so you didn't miss much. And my mother does know who The Undertaker is, but she left us. That's okay. BTW RTG said hello. We got that. We said hello to Texas Red. Who else do I have in here in the chat? Yep, I love the Tribal Cheese coming in here, and we got 1,300 plus subscribers now, which is a great accomplishment. Justin Parsley's not here tonight. I don't know why we say hello to him. We can say hello to him, but he's not here to hear the hello. So, but what about Jade Cargill potentially Bianca Belair attacking?
I don't think it's Bianca. I think Bianca. I had a conversation with my friend. Bianca in the John Cena territory where she's this role model. She's on posters. She's everywhere.
I just saw something with her the other day in a commercial.
So turning her heel is the same problem they had with when they wanted to turn Cena heel. Can you find that someone to replace? Like they've tried it with a lot of different women, and I think Bianca is the ultimate female face in WWE right now, where you need this like leader to do. She does all these.
But we speak about what's going on with New Day. And they're going to try something different there, I would imagine. I mean, you might want to try
Bianca still has opportunity, though, because we still haven't seen her face Charlotte yet. That's the thing. Until she faces Charlotte, and if Jade turns heel, that really adds another element to it. We still haven't seen her kind of face Nia as well, and then with Tiffany Stratton also. So there's some more opportunities I think Bianca still has a face than a heel down the road.
All right. I mean, that's a fair point. And if you're on Instagram, do me a favor, give Randy a follow. We'd appreciate that very much. Thank you, everybody here for tuning in. Want to say hello to my guest here coming up Sunday, 9 o'clock, Mr. Chronic Gaming. He's very important because he's doing a charity thing he's been doing, which will take place over the course of several weeks. He's going to talk about it with us here on Sportswire, 9 o'clock Eastern time. So I'm excited about that. And I definitely want to promote that and talk about why that's important. So it's a very good cause. We're going to get into that. Something a little different here on Sportswire, but it's for a good cause, and I want to definitely talk about that. Hello. I did see about what happened with Anthony Steele. I definitely did see that. Anthony was here yesterday, but I guess Anthony's not going to be here tonight because he was senselessly beaten up by this guy here, Justin Parsley. So that's a different conversation for a different time there. Okay. We'll ask you one thing real quick on Cody. And what did you think about that whole thing with Cody Rhodes and Carmelo Hayes very quickly?
That is interesting. Like, and it's something to set down the road because Carmelo Hayes says we agree with it. We agree with him.
The first round pick.
And I think this is good. And listen, Carmelo Hayes has a point. Like, Carmelo Hayes has watched. Like, what Kevin Owens says is everyone teamed up. The Bloodline dominated WWE for so long. They beat up everyone, and Cody pretty much just said, "Oh, whatever, let's be friends." And not in that sense, but I think Cody, and that ticked Cody off because I think Cody is the face right now. He feels like he's that leader who dethroned Roman, but I think the point is, listen, you decided to turn your back on everyone when you teamed with Roman.
I have something, and I was thinking about this because you'd be the man to answer this. I felt like tonight, and even last week, because I watched the last two SmackDowns, and I watched them intensely, and we spoke a little bit about this last week. But if I were to say to you that maybe this was the Cody Rhodes we should have got at the beginning of the title run, would you look at Cody Rhodes a little differently? Because I feel like that this what we're seeing right now from Cody, the last couple of SmackDowns, is maybe what you should have got from him at the beginning of the title run after he won it from Roman. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think this could have add more element to Cody Rhodes because I think we look at his feud with AJ Styles, and especially that their build up to the Backlash match in France.
Yep.
It was more just like, oh, la-di-da, like, oh, we're just two competitive. We're going to put in a great match. Where if we would have got this fire from Cody, even going to SummerSlam fighting Solo, where he could have said, listen, I took down one tribal chief. I'm going to take down another. I'm not scared of you guys. And where he's like, you know what, this is a different Solo. Have I bought up so much have I buying up more than I chew possibly here? The bloodlines are kind of strong. I think it would have made Cody more of a fighting champion, more of a determined person for Cody to say, listen, I dethroned Roman. No one else could. I deserve my damn respect. You should not be calling me out. I did what everyone else could not do.
Yeah, and I think that's really where I ultimately do see the contention with Owens and Cody, because Owens made the point that he was there first.
Yep.
He was there first. And he also helped Cody, and Cody didn't help him. I mean, it's the usual standard. I'm, jealous, and it reminds me of like something they would do with Hulk Hogan back in the 80s, like a Paul Orndorff, Macho Man. You saw this happen with him, and it's kind of almost right out of that playbook almost.
Exactly. No, exactly. I think like it's not on that level, but it's like when Shawn Michaels returned and then Triple H attacked him, or Triple H was
I don't think it's at that level, but in terms of like the premise,
the premise, it's like this guy, I've done all the work. This guy returned, and he thinks he can do this.
Speaking of people, are you allowed to be here right now? Are you contractually allowed to be here before 11 o'clock? Do you want to be here before 11 o'clock?
Sure. Yeah, I was eating a fish stick. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So how's the
back door's locked, Alan? I gotta ask you that.
He definitely wants to make
the running bit. Yeah.
So how's the fish stick? I mean, are you going into eating contests these days with fish sticks? I mean, whatever happened to you and Big T and little Scooby, and you guys still? You guys could talk to. You guys talk to each other still, right? You guys.
We have a fantasy league and everything, and
those guys you can speak with, right? Those guys are okay.
Oh yeah, those are my guys, man. We still have a fantasy league and everything. And
yeah, Big
T actually did beat me in the taco eating contest.
We were all waiting for that contest all those months ago. I know it's lifetimes ago, but maybe you want to go and do fish stick eating.
That would be a hard contest, Alan.
I would drop dead from that because Alan, you missed my mother. My mother was here a little while ago, and I've never really eaten fish in my life, so she would attest to that. She could back me up for it because she gave birth to me, but I'm not a fish eater. But how you doing, Alan? How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Good.
We were talking a little bit of wrestling, talking about Mike Tyson a little bit. Did you watch Mike Tyson fight? By the way, did you watch him fight Jake Paul? Or
I did watch the Tyson Paul fight. And
what did you think about that? What did you think about that? Did you feel like you could have gotten in the ring there with Tyson? Because you could throw some punches. I know you could throw some punches.
That was just sad, man. I mean,
I was talking about it. It was like Tyson was like this, and he couldn't move. It was like. I was saying that during the stream. I felt bad because it was like his leg had a leg brace on. He couldn't move. And after the first round, he had a couple of punches. And then it was like, we were almost waiting for Rob to tell us the announcement of the Grim Reaper, like a death here coming of Tyson's life, But
yeah, it was pretty sad, man. And Logan's comments after wasn't great either. I mean,
we were talking about, not to ask you too much about wrestling because I don't want to go there, but I know you are friends with Cody Rhodes, though. That I can certainly mention. I can pull the picture up for proof. I got the proof of that. But we were talking about maybe Tyson in WWE for an angle. I guess. I don't know.
I highly doubt it, man. I think Tyson was there to get his bag, and then he's going back to doing his podcast and eating.
But WWE, I mean, they always cash in on mainstream stars. We know his history with the Pauls. We were just kind of spitballing.
I mean, I can see a one-time appearance, maybe.
That's what we were talking about, like a one-time deal.
Yeah,
maybe.
What I was saying was they could, if Logan Paul had a match. He'll have Jake Paul. He'll have his brother in his corner. Whoever he faced could have Mike Tyson in his corner as well.
Yeah,
something like that.
I can see it. I can see it happening at a Saudi show.
Well, because everything
sure.
happens in Saudi, right?
Yeah,
Have they
everything.
contacted you're a free agent, Alan? Have they contacted you to go to Saudi yet?
No, they haven't done that. They're throwing money at everybody. So I mean,
I was
throw
thinking
me
they
some
would
money.
throw it at you because
I'm surprised
once
Tony
upon a
Khan hasn't
time-
made you an offer yet, Alan.
That's what I was surprised about. I will ask you one thing real quick on wrestling. Today is the 34-year anniversary of The Undertaker's debut. Did you hear about that?
I did not hear about that, though.
Well, that's interesting, right? That 34 years. The Undertaker's an old man. He's an old man.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's 10 years older than I am.
Wow, and that's a long. We were talking about this that he might be the most. He might have the most main events of any wrestler in WWE history, just for his sheer longevity.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it if Randy's up on that list too.
Yeah, I think Randy mentioned Cena. I think Cena maybe
Triple H.
Triple H,
Yeah.
Orton.
I feel like Orton missed time though, right? He missed a
He
little bit
missed
of time,
and
recently.
he as well. You got because Cena.
And he also had a run where he wasn't in the main event for a while. Where Cena,
True.
if you really think about it, from 03 to 17 was pretty much penciled in main events.
Yeah,
he was penciled in consistently. Triple H is another good one, but he's another good one. He's up there. Triple H would be a good one because he had longevity. I don't know if he had the consistent 14 straight years, but that's another good one. But my point was the Undertaker's got to have had the most main events. Doesn't mean he's the biggest draw. Doesn't mean he's the greatest of all time. I just meant in the sheer amount of his matches, he had the most main events. Like if you think about his career, I think like 9 months in, he was already feuding with the Ultimate Warrior. Then he wins the title a year later from Hogan. Then he goes right into Jake the Snake Roberts. He goes into Yokozuna, and he's off to the races, and he's main event. And you got glasses now. Never hit a man with glasses, right, Alan?
Yeah, I had LED glasses.
You did?
Yeah, I looked at the screen.
Oh, okay. You got some new lights, I guess. Maybe new lights. That's why you want to make sure the back has some lights in the back of you, or and such.
Nah, everything blacked out back there.
Oh, it's blacked out. Okay. Oh, that's really, it's nice. Alan, since I'm such a giving mood, I know we'll get back to some of the wrestling talk in a minute, but I did want to remind the audience, Alan, because you have been such a good friend of mine for about a year and a half. I did want to, obviously let the audience remember that you certainly do have one friend that the Tribal Cheese might be friends with the same person, but apparently Cody called you tonight and asked for advice on what to do with KO.
It's crazy. I didn't even get a chance to watch any SmackDown. I will say this here right now.
I got a lot of football on my mind tonight, especially locally here. I'm going to get your opinion on that.
Listen, I have an opinion right now. The WWE hit a lot of the TikTok creators who react to wrestling content, like the Raws and SmackDowns. I'm not gonna lie, I don't have cable. So, I'm not really watching Raw, so I can't really watch Raw and SmackDown.
Well, I was funny. Randy and I were talking about Netflix, and I don't have Netflix. I'm not going to buy Netflix.
Oh, I have Netflix. It comes with my phone plan. It's great.
Oh, well, thank you, Alan, for being not going along with my plan there. But I was going to say is I'm not going to get Netflix just to watch Raw. I was just going to say
I think a lot of people are, Tom. I think that.
Yeah, I think the majority are. I'm going to be honest with you.
But if you watch the Tyson fight, we mentioned that briefly, the buffering was that was almost like America Online, DSL cable from 20 years ago. That was how bad that was.
That's the beauty of it, though. They had a test run, and we saw how bad it is. Now it's time to fix it. Now it's time to give them the ball.
Oh, aren't they doing an NFL game coming up? Isn't that going to be worse? That's going to be worse, don't you think?
Well, I think they have a little bit of time to maybe tweak it, work on it. You never know. They might before Raw comes out, they might have a better understanding of what's going on.
I don't even remember if I ever asked you. It's been such a while, but I'll ask it to you because even you didn't watch, you still have an opinion. Raw on Netflix. I mean, you will watch it, and you're excited.
100%. I'm so excited for Raw on Netflix.
Okay, that's interesting.
It's easier for me to access, and on top of that, because I don't have actual cable. I only have internet. I'm not going to pay for cable.
Well, I tell you what, I thought about that. We're here with Randy Dillon, host of the Hockey Fan Chat, senior wrestling analyst, and the trendsetter Alan Michaels, he's a streamer on Twitch. I missed one of his Twitches recently because I just missed it. I might have been on Sportswire, who knows? And My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. We're going to go to football here in about 10 or 15 minutes. The guys will be on with us. But, I was kind of thinking about, like, in 5 years from now, like, I think the amount of people that own cable is going to be like, because I was even reading on X that sports teams, it was like Chicago Sports now is doing their own streaming app. And there's the whole thing with Amazon taking over for Bally Sports. If you're into the regional stuff like hockey and other,
Well, Tom, just to add on that, like NHL here Monday night, they had Monday Night Hockey. Amazon owns that right. I think it's going to be a matter of time before Amazon owned the NHL right, possibly down. Not the U.S. I know Canada, their deal might be coming up. So.
And was it not with Rogers?
Yeah, with Rogers, they sold it to Amazon. So Monday night now.
So Rogers is out of the hockey business altogether?
They're still in the hockey business here in Canada. They still have all the games, but on Monday night...
And who has Hockey Night in Canada now?
Still has Rogers, but Monday night, there's always one game in Canada that is now on Netflix, on Amazon. You can only watch it on Amazon, nowhere else in Canada.
And wasn't Rogers doing the Oilers games?
Yep, they do all the Canadian games. So,
okay,
yeah.
So Rogers is still in the hockey business, but they don't have the national game.
They don't have a Monday night national game, pretty much.
So then you would think then this will be a thing that cable.
I think down the road it might be a thing.
Well, the cable business is finished then, to be honest. WWE got lucky because then they got the deal with USA, and they may not get another one of those deals then. It might all be streaming then, basically, from what you're telling me.
Well, look at AEW. They only gave them Time Warner only gave them a 3-year deal. They didn't.
Well, I want to talk about AEW for a minute because I was listening, and yes, I was listening to Bischoff's show, 83 Weeks, and they were talking about the ratings again. And I don't know if this is true or not. I'm not in that business, so I don't know the TV stuff. If you ask me about politics, I could tell you things on that, how those things work. But in terms of like a TV deal, he was talking about that how bad AEW's ratings, that the network could just decide if they're not drawing the ratings that they want based on what they're paying. They could pull the plug. It's not a guarantee that they get 3 years. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but
their contract interesting. I know there was a year or two. I think a year or two AEW could back out. Time Warner could back out. I think the big thing is they are going to stream on Max and HBO or something, that deal starting in January in some places. So maybe that might pick up depending on the subscription.
Well, the contract that they got doesn't start until next year. So really right now what they're on is the past contract. But the point is they only drew 640,000. Last week was 663,000. And like, I don't know how a network makes money off that. If you think about it. I
do not know.
People talk about WWE making like $1 million, when they lose viewers when they went from 1.2 million to 1.1 million. But if they're half of that, how do they make any money?
I honestly think AEW probably should have jumped to a streaming network just right now, honestly, because, back in like 2010, 2011, I had basic cable. So the easiest access to wrestling for me was TNA at the time. Okay. And that's how they got me as a viewer. And I fell in love with the product. And from 2010 to 2012, I watched strictly TNA. Just because it was more accessible and I fell in love with the product. I feel like if AEW made itself more accessible, it would do a lot better than it is now.
He was saying that Tony Khan does it for like 10% of the wrestling fans. And
look at their pay-per-views. Like 60, 50, how many before it was 4 pay-per-views a year. Now they're offering once a month.
Well, the other thing was, I got to bring up, I want to say hello to my friend Daniel Banner, who's up at 3:56 a.m. in the morning. I don't know why, but he is. Thank you, Daniel, for tuning in. That AEW has no live venues booked here. Did you hear about that? They don't have any. So like how WWE is going to different places, they're going, every week you hear about an event. AEW has nothing booked calendar wise from like January on. That they were talking about that maybe AEW sets up like in a sound stage or in some type of like, remember what TNA had where they were in Orlando for all those years, and that maybe they would take. And that AEW might be going that route, except the big shows, because the only shows that they have on sale are All Out, and then the one so they have, I think it's Australia, and then I think it's the one in Texas. That's it, in AT&T Stadium. That's all they got. There's no other tickets for anything from January on. Isn't that a little bizarre?
It's bizarre, and I know there was talk saying they are trying to get smaller. They're changing their stage so they can fit in smaller venues, but I think it's the right move to do to get a smaller smaller building, try to fill up similar to what TNA is doing, but the product just doesn't attract people unless like you're.
Yeah, I gotta
really
be honest. I was trying to watch Dynamite. It was in between. I was in between streams, and I don't know, man. I just
look what they're doing. They bring in that AJ Juice big boom person, the Costco guy trying to bring in. They bring in the Riz, and I think he's fighting QT Marshall.
well, everybody knows him on social media. I mean, it's a social media play.
I personally love
media play,
And
but
it's like bringing Alan back on the Sportswire. It's a social media play. It gets us views.
They bring the boom to you, Randy.
I know it brings them views and might get some people to turn. But I think for people who really want that alternative wrestling from WWE, who want to watch something different, it's not there. It's like they're in a hamster wheel where they're trying the same things over and over. Like this week, I think on Thursday, I announced Ricochet versus Takeshita. Rather than announcing on live television, they announced it on Twitter. And it's just like you have a big pay-per-view.
And that's just, you know what they call that? That's for like you're in an echo chamber. So you're echo chamber, but you're not I agree with you. The smart play would have been to just announce it right at the end of the show and say, this is what's going to happen. Like WWE would always do next week, or tune in for the next show, and this is what's going to happen, or the cliffhanger. And when you do, but they're assuming that their audience is on X. And that's what that comes down to here. Let me get to a couple of comments from Daniel. Yeah, I mean, I saw a couple of things in the Fountains Church. I got to be honest. I mean, I haven't had anybody from the Fountains Church on, really. I mean, I have CCW guys on Sportswire. I mean, I have a couple of guys. I can't tell you who's going to be on from the UK, but they'll pretty big in the next few weeks. So, I mean, but yeah, I mean, I wish Gareth well. I wish all of them well. But I haven't had really that many. I just started bringing UK wrestlers back on the Sportswire, so that's great. Brad Coleman was here. I think you were here for the Brad Coleman stream. I have Donnie Franchises back Monday, so I have a couple of other things here. Superhero Saving Baby, I heard about that. AEW seems to be going down the route as WCW. I think it's worse. Honestly. I think it's worse than WCW. Because
it's again going to come down to how much the cons want to put in the money. And I think at this point, if they really want to make a difference, make the announcement, say Shane McMahon's there to help build this company.
Maybe he's not. And, you know, how about the ironic part, and Alan will appreciate this because it'll transition to football, is that between the Jaguars and AEW, what's worse right now? No, seriously.
The Jaguars is worse.
You sure?
100%.
You sure?
You draft Trevor Lawrence, number one. Everybody hypes him up to be this generational talent.
AEW had CM Punk, and CM Punk basically said, yeah, my AEW run was wasted, though.
I just can't stand Trevor Lawrence. I don't know what it is about him.
He won a playoff game. Everybody got excited. And then since then, it's been, I mean,
draft class, the whole quarterback draft class, just.
Well, we're going to talk about one of those players in that draft class coming up here in about 10 minutes. But, yeah, I don't know. AEW at this point, I mean, I hope
you look at their match, like they've been hyping the Adam Cole MJF for over a year now. And
MJF with the angle in front of the cars, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Roderick Strong, ladies and gentlemen, is going to wrestle.
Jericho? I just can't get over Chris Jericho being a champion right now.
Oh my! That just doesn't make sense. It's like their tag team division has gone. That was so strong for them a number of years ago. It has now have gone down. Nothing against Private Party. I think they're a great tag team, but the tag team division doesn't have the same pizzazz.
Well, it's even like I think they were talking about Mercedes Moné's salary was either $5 million or $7 million, and
the crowd was chanting "Shut the F up" to her on this Wednesday.
There's just no way that she could be living up to that contract. Yeah. Daniel wanted to say, yeah, for some reason the storylines, they're just all over the place. It's just, it's like a broken record to me. It's like this has been for 2.5 years.
And the one thing I'm going to add this much with MJF, I know he's filming the Happy Gilmore schedule, but that compared to the schedule The Rock had back in the 90s, and at least make him show up on Dynamite. Like
listen, the schedules they have now is night and day. You know, we were talking about The Undertaker, right? And this is 34 years since he debuted, right? And in those days, they wrestled 300 dates a year, right? Now, what do they wrestle? 100? I mean, we're talking about you mentioned before that they're taping Raws, taping SmackDowns, wrestling. And I'm all for it, by the way. I'm with you. I don't think people should go out and work 320 days a year. I don't think for the human body, it's a productive thing. And I think they can still be successful by doing less dates, and it'll make them actually better in the long run. But I mean, you can't compare. They're working 1/3 of the dates that they worked. Even 20 years ago, they were still working 200 days, to 175 to 200 shows a year. You can't compare. Why can't he be there? And AEW is not running house shows, right? They're not running house shows. They're not running anything live. WWE, I just saw something on Facebook that they ran a Monday Night Raw this past week. It was 30 years ago. They ran it in a high school gym. You can't compare. Can't compare.
It's a different atmosphere.
Alan has wrestled in front of more people than some of these people. No, seriously, Alan. I won't mention where you wrestled, Alan, but you know what I'm saying, Alan. I didn't mention it. Let me get to a couple of comments.
It's like their schedule's so light. If Tony Khan's willing to fly wrestlers across the whatever on their private jet anywhere, we've seen a number of wrestlers say Tony Khan flies me anywhere. Why not do them if you're filming a movie?
I think what it is he puts them in, and he has this assortment of wrestlers he watches and he likes, but they don't do anything with them. We know Lashley's the new flavor of the month, and what's going to happen with Lashley? He's going to be what 2 months from now?
Swerve? I think Swerve the ultimate question. He loses. What do you do with him going forward? What do you do with a guy like Hangman Adam Page if he loses to split? I can't. Who are they fighting?
Well, we got Moxley running all over the place.
Moxley doing his thing. You saw Orange Cassidy, that was pathetic. Him getting taped up, him just gently kicking someone like he was doing a dance. And
I don't know. Let me get to a couple comments here. This is Randy's Instagram. Go follow him. We'll hear from the regular team here in a few minutes. Daniel wants to say this. I want to argue that the fans are not satisfied with the baby faces. They always cheer the heels. I don't get it sometimes. I mean, look, people, they like who they like. I mean, maybe that's the job of the heel. That's the job for them to do different. I don't know that answer. But AEW, if you're referencing AEW, they've got a lot of problems. And to the fact that we're even talking about the TV deal they just signed and what's the future of that obviously is not a good thing. Trevor Lawrence is the quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars, but right now, I don't know if he'll be the starting quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars next season. But we'll have to see. I'm sure they'll give him the job. But they gave him a massive contract, and basically, Tony Khan's going to be paying for that, just like he signed with Mercedes Moné and Bobby Lashley and everybody else he's brought in there. It's basically collecting dust, basically. So that's still is not a football fan, but all right, Randy, I want to ask you something real quick before the regular guys come on here. I actually felt bad for you in a different sport because Alexander Ovechkin just really, my regards to you on that.
Man, that was, Tom, just heart-shattering, I think, across all over the place. This guy could have probably put up another hat trick, back-to-back hat trick, the 39-year-old. I don't think that's been done in a long time. The pace he was on, you would think he was going to break the record come January or February. Now, out to 4 to 6 weeks. It affects my Capitals because he's been scoring a lot of their goals. Who's going to pick up the slack there? But just, could this be his whole career, he's been healthy as they can be, but could this be the injury, which I'm worried about, that could really start slowing him down?
Well, I mean, that's, when you get injured for the first time in your career, especially this late in the game, and 40, right? He's 40 now?
He's 39. He's turning 40 next year. Okay,
so 39, you don't know. I mean, it's a big question. It's a huge question.
We saw last year how much he struggled, and he was healthy. Coming back from injury, he'd never had this. Hopefully he can come back. It doesn't take him too long to get going, but it's a huge loss because what the attention he's bringing to the world of hockey, of him breaking that record, people thought this was never going to be done. I remember in 2010, 2011, they were saying, he's not going to break that record. You're kidding himself. And now 27 goals away from the record.
Well, that tells you he comes back, in January? So
they're saying, my guess is first week of January, he will be back.
Oof, that means he may not break the record this season.
He might not. He might get close enough, but he was on pace to be the oldest 50-goal scorer, breaking the all-time record for most 50 goals. He could have scored 900 possibly.
Who was the oldest that scored 50?
I think it's Solani who scored 50. I think Solani or Brett
Wow, that's,
Hall.
you know what? I hadn't thought about that. He's at that late in his career scored 50. That's we certainly want to see him
Well, he
back
was
out.
38. He was 38 when that happened. So
I would have thought Brett Hull maybe would have scored 50 at that late in his career, but
Yeah.
Solani's a good guess. That's a good one. Let me get to Daniel on wrestling. Jack Perry seems to be lacking, and then Chris Statlander was a heel, and after 3 months, babyface again. But that's the whole AEW story.
Jack Perry. Sorry, Tom. Jack Perry. They had gold with this guy, and they blew it. Like,
it's unfortunately that's the story of AEW. It's just we talk about this year after year, and then he also wants to go further. What annoyed me the most was they are taking wrestling back to 2005 with AEW. Look at women like Mina Shikawa, Harley Cameron shaking their, let's say, well-endowed assets was just bad. Well, you know, I mean, there is a segment of people that want to see that. I mean, I agree with you. It should be focused on the wrestling, but AEW is going to try anything they can to get the ratings. I guess. I don't know. I mean, you know, I don't know. I agree with you, though, that I don't think it should just be based on somebody's looks, but, you know, that's who's ever writing the shows, who was in charge of booking this stuff. Maybe, Alan, you should go book. You're a free agent right now. You want to go book AEW?
Al and I could do a better job, and we would get more.
I'll tell you what,
we could hit a million viewers. I think Al and I could. We could hit a million.
There's a lot of people that I watch on this platform that could do a better job. I tell you that much. There's no question about that. I see a lot of people here that, you know, could do definitely a better job. Zilla could do a better job. A lot of people could. And if you want to follow Randy, he's on Instagram. Check him out. That's his Instagram feed. You want to check him out, support him, go do that. He's also the host of the Hockey Fan Chat, and he's going to be there at Survivor Series next weekend. So he's going to be there. He'll be tagging me on social media, I have no doubt, throughout the night there, and looking forward to that, plus a lot of other things Randy will talk about, and he'll talk about the NHL, he'll talk about what's going on in other places, WWE and elsewhere, and a lot of great things around in the world, and that's his page, and okay, so we'll take this off the screen for now. And anything else wrestling-wise you want to bring up before I transition the show?
Wrestling-wise was Raw. I found Raw. They hit all the nothing really. I would think hyped up for Raw. With SmackDown, I'm interested in the Shinsuke Nakamura and LA Knight segment because a lot of people saw what Nakamura doing, and I think this is a great way to bring him back with LA Knight and get.
Is this a way to put Knight over, though?
I think it's going to put Knight over, but I also think it's going to get Nakamura back in the game, more importantly, because he's been on the sideline since February, to be honest.
I think pre-WrestleMania, if I'm not mistaken.
For the last was Cody in that last night. I think this might get him going there, which is good. NXT, like, I'm very interested. Ridge Holland, is he going to get a big push here?
He was a big focal point on Tuesday's show, that's for sure.
Definitely, their AEW got full gears. Listen, it's going to be a great pay-per-view, but again, the great wrestling to watch, no doubt. But again, the story just falling after, and then just on the hockey note, me and my friend Nick, we are going to record a Penguins episode Monday. The Edmonton Oilers, my God, they've gone from June to now contenders to team may be lucky to make the playoff. They don't figure out.
Remember last year though how they started.
But Tom, they had a better roster last year. They just couldn't figure things out. They have no defense.
Well, that's been a problem. I mean, that's been a problem for them, though. I mean,
now with Darnell Nurse out there, defensive didn't work, and he's been a whipping boy for that team for the last few years.
And the New York Islanders lose a game that you just want to forget about yesterday.
Yeah, the Islanders, like, they're doing the Jekyll and Hyde mode where you don't.
I mean, you can't lose a game. You know that there was a stat on X. In that the last 100, the Islanders have played 111 games since the 2023 playoffs, and they've blown 32. They had lead in the third period and blew 32% of those games or something like that.
Yeah, it's just like the Islanders. Lou Lamoriello, I don't know what he has in store for this team, but it's just like something got to change because the crew they have is not getting it done. I just feel like they're going deeper down a hole than ever.
It's just another fringe playoff thing. One more question on this. One last question. Do you think wrestling has gotten better, or is it just lacking entertainment? It's a good question. Has wrestling gotten better?
I think it's gotten better. I think from where we were in 2019, when it was god awful, I think it's gotten much better. I think WWE has increased their product to a point
I think
where
WWE has become on par with the major sports around the world. I'll throw football around the world in there as well because Daniel's UK. But I'm going to say something that's may or may not be controversial. I think independent wrestling, though, is taking a nosedive. I got to be honest. Independent wrestling. This is not backyard. I'm talking about indie wrestling because I get a lot of indie wrestlers, and I'm not just talking UK, so don't see it like it's a shot in the UK. But I feel independent wrestling the last like 2 years or so, 2 or 3 years. I've been covering it for 4 years. I don't know. It's just taking it's suffered. So I think I'll answer it the way Bischoff, because this is a question that somebody gave Bischoff. And Bischoff said that WWE has done fine, but everybody else has definitely suffered the last few years. That's kind of what I think. Independent wrestling.
I see it. I definitely see it because I think the WID program, taking advantage of, Tom, you say a poor independent situation where things
Very
are struggling. Let's get the talent. If we can,
that's what they're doing. What they're doing is basically now giving themselves a feeding ground to NXT. That's what they're doing there, because they're taking advantage of the fact that indie wrestling, again, not talking backyard, I'm talking independent wrestling. Because again, I get a lot of indie wrestling and like, there's no oomph right now. There's no juice behind independent wrestling. I remember like 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, indie wrestling was red hot. Why? Because Cody Rhodes was going around. The Young Bucks were going around. You had all these guys that were just trying, the Hardys were doing it. All these different people were like going out and like wanting to see different things and doing different things. But right now, like independent wrestling,
Alan,
they wrestle each other, and it's like, it's just no creativity. So that's kind of what I think
I
here.
think, Tom, that had to do as well with Ring of Honor maybe going out and then Tony Khan buying them and really hadn't done anything, because Ring of Honor was such a huge staple in independent wrestling for a number of years.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a fair point. That's a fair point. I'm ready to go into some football now. One more thing. Yeah, I think it just lacks characters, entertainment. So indie wrestling to me around the world it's just not good. I'll be honest. I get indie wrestlers come on, and a lot of them, it's just, there's no oomph to it. But that's a topic for another time. Randy, I want to pass the baton to you for some closing thoughts. I'm going to talk a lot about a topic that I'm sure one guy is not going to like in football, and we'll see what the other two guys think who show up on here. And you got the floor, Randy. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say? Be my guest.
Tom, always a pleasure. I won't be here next week because I will be traveling to Vancouver to watch.
Well, that's funny you said that, because I don't have a regular show here next Friday. Speaking of independent wrestlers, I have the Stompers here, so they're gonna
that works out perfect. I will be live. I will be live at Survivor Series. I'll be tagging along.
How long is it going to take you to get there?
It takes I have to fly about 45 minute flight.
Okay,
I wish I could drive, but the roads it's just snowing in the mountains, so it's safer to fly.
Okay.
So excited for that. Hopefully we get some more matches for War Game. They only have 3 matches. Hopefully they can maybe add a match or 2 more. We know the War Game matches are going to be about an hour, but still got to fill up the rest of the time. With the news of hockey, we're coming close to American Thanksgiving. There's a lot of teams in the West who look like to be out of it, and a few in the East.
Well, I think in the Eastern Conference, 500 right now gets you into a wild card spot. I mean, that's does that mean we're going to see 90 points as a playoff point this year? It's usually 94. It's usually 95.
The Capitals were 91 last year to make in the playoffs.
And the Islanders were 92, I think?
92, 93. So the points are decreasing. We'll see this year. Anyways, always a pleasure to be here. Want to hear my input on takes on hockey or wrestling? Follow me at Twitter. Randy Dillon, DHILLON. Justin, I know you're here. Wish you best of luck tomorrow's game against the Captain Devils. Go Capitals, my friend.
That's a funny one there. Thank you, Randy. We appreciate you. We'll see you in 2 weeks. We'll be back here in 2 weeks, and safe travels out there. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. And tag me on social media.
Absolutely, for sure. Thanks, fella.
That was Randy Dillon. Sorry about that, Randy. And now we are here with the rest of the gang here. We're here with the host of the Liftoff Jets and the Talking, well, it used to be the Talking Rebels. Now he's at New York MLB Talk. That is Mr. Chris Bazaya. And we're also here with Justin Gianelli, formerly of the Baseball Banter. And I ain't really going to talk baseball at the moment because there's a lot of news here. And maybe Rob Maraska will show up here. I think he was, but we'll see about that. But, I do want to talk, and I want to talk, oddly enough, off the field for you, gentlemen, because oddly enough here, there was two, I guess, New York or New Jersey teams that made news. I don't know if it was unexpected or not. And first it was the New York Jets. They're looking for a general manager, and the New York Giants, they paid a lot of money not too long ago for Daniel Jones, but apparently he's going elsewhere. And I guess I got to start with you guys and what's going to happen now with these two teams? And maybe I'll go first with the New York Giants and Daniel Jones. And you guys see this coming? And just what a bizarre turn of events.
Honestly,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I didn't see him get released a week after the week of them benching him. But I guess he asked for the release, and they were like, you know what, we'll go ahead and grant it. Now, I think it'd be pretty hilarious if the Dallas Cowboys could scoop him up and try him out at quarterback, see what he can do.
Well, they got two of the Giants and Cowboys play each other coming up, right? Wouldn't that be a clever idea?
On Thanksgiving.
That would be funny.
Happy Turkey Day. He could be the starting quarterback for him, even.
Yeah, thanks for ruining Thanksgiving for us, NFL.
Well, did Rob Maraska have a
game
death
is
to
gonna be
announce?
crap.
Do you have a death to announce, Rob Maraska? Did anybody die this week? Is that what you want to maybe lighten the mood? No death. That's good. No deaths this week in sports, right? No deaths. Like no Met from like 62 died.
Quiet week.
That's good. Well, maybe death does take days off, I suppose.
The night is still young. You never know.
That is certainly true. And Rob's got a facial hair that would remind people of a Wolfman Jack. But so Jones
Can't
for you
shave.
guys.
Had hand
What's that?
surgery. I can't shave.
Well, it is also November. Usually it's what is November? Movember, where people sometimes they don't shave because of those reasons. But so for you guys, Jones, what do you take on all this for the rest of you guys on Daniel Jones? I know it's a bizarre, really a bad week for New York, New Jersey football.
Yeah, you kind of saw this coming. The way they played last year, the way he played this year. It just was a move that needed to be made. The Giants have to make a franchise change at quarterback, and they're going to have to try to get one at the top of the draft this year. Now, whether or not they win a couple of games, because last year when they went to Tommy DeVito, they won a couple of games. And they ended up missing out.
Tommy Cutlets, famously.
They missed out on guys like Drake May and Jaden Daniels, and and found themselves picking sixth.
What do you want me to say? That's his name.
Who knows? Who knows what happens this year? But in terms of Jones, I mean, listen, he's a professional. He's a stand-up guy. He took it in stride, and I just think this was the best situation. Just kind of sending him home. They had signed Tim Boyle to the practice squad to be the third quarterback. It's kind of like the Derek. It happened a little later in the season, a couple of years ago, but Derek Carr was sent home by the Raiders, and they just were like, you know what, we're parting ways. Might as well just send you home and just call it a day. So.
Is Jones for you guys? Is Daniel Jones an NFL starting quarterback still?
No.
I think. To be honest, I think he's got to go
a serviceable backup. I'd say.
Yeah, I think he's got to be a backup again. Not again, but I think he's got to go back, go to being a backup, and go the route that Sam Darnold went, and the route that Geno Smith went.
Well, Geno Smith turned his career around. I mean,
yeah, and look at Sam Darnold this year. So it
and
is
the
possible.
Seahawks got a big win. I mean, just the luck of the Jets, right? I mean, Sam Darnold and Geno Smith turned their careers around.
I think it's a matter of, he's got to go to a team that has a good offensive line, a good offensive coordinator. I actually like Daboll a lot as a coach, but I think he just needs a change of scenery, become a backup somewhere, maybe hook up with like the 49ers and be their backup for a while, or Minnesota as a bridge to JJ next season,
I was thinking, go be a backup to Josh Allen next year.
Yeah, that too.
How about Green Bay? Maybe Green Bay, Jordan Love.
That could be.
You're a Packers guy, Alan. Would you love to see Daniel Jones?
Yeah, we got Malik Willis. Yeah, I think we're fine at backup.
Yeah.
quarterback.
All right.
As a backup.
Washington, as
Malik
a
Willis ain't
backup,
bad.
maybe. How about Washington as a backup? Commanders.
Yeah, not
Yeah,
bad.
Maybe.
I don't know about there. I think you know what? You know it's a good spot. Like the Raiders. The Raiders got nothing.
I was next on my
Yeah.
list because the Raiders are
Colts-
going to probably
Maybe
be
the Colts as a backup to Richardson. You know,
Well, I'm gonna get to the Jets next. I'm getting to them. Oh, I got some things to say about them because they're also next on the list. But so the Giants, was this the right decision for both parties? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
just like with the Jets with Joe Douglas. I think it was. You know what? You're gonna get fired at the end of the year anyway. You're gonna get cut in the Giant. You know, in Jones's position. So you know what? Maybe he'll hook up with a team because once he passed waivers, you know, a team could pick him up for the league minimum for
Yep.
nothing.
Well, I mean, I
why
guess-
not the Raiders. The Raiders should pick him up. The Raiders got nothing at quarterback.
but you
No,
guys
they got
expect
nothing to
horrible
lose.
this year.
but you guys expect Jones to get picked up then.
Maybe not
He
this
yeah,
year.
should, but he
definitely
could
in the
he
offseason.
could sit out
No,
there.
you know what? Given the nature of the injuries around the league and the poor quarterback play, I actually could see him play in 2024 in a different uniform.
It's possible. Like I
Yeah,
said,
I
I think
think
the
so.
Raiders,
7
the
weeks
Raiders got
left?
nothing at quarterback right now.
What do we have? 7 weeks left.
Yeah.
7 weeks left. Yeah, I mean, somebody
Why
could
not?
be desperate. Somebody could be desperate.
Think
He
of
might wanna-
teams that have a bad quarterback situation. There's the Titans. You know, you could go with the Titans. You could go with the Raiders.
Raiders.
The Jet. Yeah, I don't know if the Jets will sign him, but
Well, Colts, I
No.
think the Colts got to win.
the Colts got to see what Richardson could do. I think they're going to play him and see what he could do right there. So
Chicago.
no,
No. Would,
I got Caleb. Caleb
Backup.
is that guy.
Backup though. You want to be a backup?
would
maybe?
Jacksonville consider it given the questions of the health of Lawrence right now?
Well, who's their
Nah, I
backup
think
anyway?
Mac
Oh, is,
Jones. Mac
yeah,
Jones.
yeah,
Mac
maybe.
Jones.
Right, Mac Jones. Yeah, maybe.
I stick with Mac on that one. To be honest,
He's played all right actually. Mac Jones
I mean,
actually played pretty well.
Who said Buffalo? Maybe, but next year would have to be for a backup, right? Somebody said, was it Justin said Buffalo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean, Daniel Jones just screams Jerry Jones all over him. I mean, I'm just
well, the
saying.
last name, just relatives. No.
Distant.
Yeah.
But so
Either way,
let
it's
me
gonna
ask
get
you
back
one.
to position
Let me
next
ask you one follow up, and I'll say hello to Joe Dell, and we definitely want to keep Joe in our thoughts and prayers. Hope he's doing well out there. But where does this Giant franchise then go? Because they give Jones a contract extension a couple years ago. They win a playoff game. Everybody's excited. Daboll comes in, and the franchise seems like they're on the up and up. They certainly took a turn for the worse last year, but maybe you make the case there was some injuries. Team had an okay second half. Was games that maybe had better quarterback play. You would have maybe had a similar record. But this year's been a complete disaster. So where does this franchise go? Does it now look for a new coach after the season? Does Daboll stay here, get another crack at it? What are you doing in the draft? I mean, where does this franchise go? Because this is a franchise that's really – I know they got the 2 Super Bowls in the last quarter century. I know they've won, but this is a franchise now, almost like the Jets. If you look at but since in the point is in the last decade, this is a franchise that's had little to no success other than a couple years ago. So, where does this team go going forward?
You see, they have a good base. I feel like the offensive line's not horrible.
It's
I mean, yeah, Andrew Thomas. Is he hurt?
Ask Daniel Jones how good the offensive line is.
Not good.
Well, Tyrone Tracy looks like a good spot.
He's not
Malik
bad.
Neighbors is a star
Neighbors is
in the
good.
making.
Neighbors is good. Tracy's
Defense
The
is
defense
looking
is
pretty
not bad.
nasty. Defensive
some
line's
decent-
disgusting.
Up front.
D line's
Yeah.
amazing.
Are you bringing
mean-
back Daboll after this season?
I think you bring back Daboll. I don't
Yeah.
think he's a bad coach. He took you to a playoff appearance, playoff win.
But it's so fickle in this league. It's now 2 bad seasons in a row. What were they? 6-10-1 last year, or 6-11, something like that. Right now,
I feel like with them benching Daniel and releasing Daniel, they figure that he was the issue. They looked at if they had an issue with the bowl, they would have gave him the axe.
well,
But
yeah,
no,
I
they
think
gave-
realistically, you were going to make a change after the season. I think we're all in agreement that Daniel Jones was not going to be the New York Football Giants starting quarterback in the
No.
2025 season. We're all in agreement
No.
with that,
Yeah.
right?
No, and I think that's kind of what a lot of people thought when that contract was signed to begin with, because he signed that 4-year, $160 million contract. after the playoff win over the Vikings in 2022. But a lot of people, when you get down to the details of the contract, it was really a 2-year, $80 million deal where there was an out after the second year, should things not go well. Things didn't go well. And I think now you give Daboll an opportunity to actually develop his own quarterback. This is the first time we get to develop his own quarterback.
That's an interesting point. So maybe you give him one more shot.
I think Shane's done enough to kind of warrant bringing him back for a fourth season as general manager. You bring back Daboll for a fourth season, and now you let them go to work on a quarterback.
Now, you got the playoff win. You won the one playoff game.
Exactly.
So maybe that gives them
a little more rope than maybe
somebody
the
other way.
who didn't make the playoffs.
Shane, I don't think Shane's done enough. I think Daboll has as a coach, but I don't think Shane's done enough.
But we know though
you're not gonna ask the GM and keep the coach.
I was gonna say that you don't.
That's the weird part. But I think the GM has done the worst job here because he hasn't done good in the draft, right?
Oh, yeah.
He hasn't rebuilt that.
But if I'm going to change the general manager, that means I'm changing the coach. And do I take a shot at Bill Belichick?
They could, but I
mean, he comes home, one more shot at it. I mean, this is the time, right? You're going to have
too many rumblings about him going to Jacksonville, though. I keep hearing that a lot. They always bring those names up together. So
he's got a probably a better path to contention.
Well, apparently Khan's willing to give him full power.
Oh, we spoke about Khan a lot before because
they have a good relationship, so that's why.
And then, well, you know what, Tony Khan.
Frank Balky's on his way out as the GM as well. So, Peterson's going to be gone. Balky's going to be gone. They're going to.
That means that you're telling me maybe Daboll stays. Maybe you just give everybody one more shot because if you're not getting a big-time coach, and the Giants really haven't had a big-name coach come in here since Coughlin. I mean, Coughlin was definitely a known coach, but they really have never gone down that road other than that. So that's
the only problem with what's going on is exactly what we're seeing in Chicago. They decided to keep Eberflus. And then they drafted Caleb Williams, and things are going south again.
They're 4-2, and they're 4-6.
Well, Eberflus is a defensive coach, so that's why I thought that was a bad.
But still, they fired Shane Waldron, the offensive coordinator. They're going to bring in a whole new offensive system next year. They're going to bring in a new coach. So now you're making the rookie learn a second system in 2 years. You run into that problem if the Giants struggle next year. And you keep Daboll.
Oh, if the Giants, listen, let's be honest. If the Giants if you're bringing Daboll back and the Giants have another bad year, Daboll's gone.
But that's exactly how you screw the quarterback.
Right.
So
But that was the story we had with Jones. But that was the story we had with Jones.
He's the quarterback. If you're
to me, it's a rookie. It's a rookie in the draft.
Okay, but if you're bringing back Daboll and Shane next season, then you're giving him another 2 or 3 seasons. You're not giving him one season with the quarterback.
Yeah.
You want to say something, Alan? But
the owner's not going to see it that way.
If the owner's
he's going to get rid of both of them.
Alan,
the owner's not going to give him one more year with a new quarterback.
Jump in, Alan. What do you want to say on that?
I mean, are we completely right now, Drew Lock right now though? Because that kid had a lot of potential. I saw a lot of potential in him in Denver. He said a couple years to sit behind some quarterbacks. I mean, he could potentially come out and shock some people.
Well, I mean, we're going to certainly find out. And yes, shout out
to with Drew Lock. It was definitely the wrong move to go right to your third string quarterback, right? Because think about it, Drew Lock.
I think that tells you who they feel is the better quarterback.
That might be it, but think about it. Drew Lock signed to be the backup quarterback, to be the number 2 behind the number 1, right? So now that you get rid of your starting quarterback, you automatically go right to your third quarterback over him. That's why Drew Lock is probably like, why am I here? If I signed
I guess the only thing they could say is, well, he was the quarterback last year. We're trying lightning in a bottle.
But do you really want lightning in a bottle at this point?
And they're playing.
Daboll might want to win as many games as possible.
The coach has to try to win as many games as possible.
Because there's no guarantee still he's coming back.
No.
There's no guarantee.
There's no guarantee.
Well, the owner gave him
if they're placating to the fans. They're freaking placating to the fans.
Well, he's a local.
I think you're right. Justin's right. That's what they're doing.
Absolutely. That's all.
I gotta move on.
It's a gimmick.
I got to move on. I got to get to some other news because the other news was Joe Douglas here. And that, what do you guys make of it? Because the Jets are just a nightmare. I mean, obviously the Jets lose a game in Jet fashion. And, if the Jets had, we talked about this last week on the show, if the Jets had a path to the playoffs, they had to have won last week. And that obviously didn't happen. And the Jets lose a game, typical Jet fashion. And a lot of fingers are being pointed right now. And so where does this Jet franchise go? I'm sure, Chris, you're going to talk about this with Sharman. I have the liftoff Jet show. I'll play it over the weekend. And, obviously Jets still have some games left to play. But, so where does this franchise go? Because, Aaron Rodgers, I would imagine, is not back on this team next year, right?
I hope to God not.
0%.
Zero. So where is that franchise
0%, but I'd say very unlikely.
I think with the Jets, obviously new coach, new GM, obviously a whole new regime, obviously.
Yeah.
And I think next year it depends. If they get the top 1 or 2 pick, and if they like either Sanders or Cam Ward or one of the other guys, maybe they'll draft one.
What are they, 3-7 right now? 3-7 the Jets? Or 3-8?
I don't know if drafting a quarterback in a quarterback draft that's not exactly deep, right? So do you want to go that route this year? You might just want to stick with Tyrod Taylor, bring another veteran in. You still got Jordan Travis coming back from the injury this year. So maybe you just hang in with those guys, see what you got. Because it's a lost season anyway, right? Because you got to hold this dead cap with Rodgers and probably Devontae Adams too. He ain't going to be back.
But why not go one more year with Rodgers?
Why? Because first of all, it's going to cost more money to have him back, right?
Okay.
If you cut him,
do you think he wants to play? Do you guys all think he wants to play in the league next year?
Yes, without a doubt.
Yeah.
But you could say that wouldn't the New York Jets' best chances to be competitive is with Aaron Rodgers as the quarterback? Because some people would say, well, he hasn't played horrible.
Regardless of what you think of Aaron Rodgers, he's going to be the best option for them next year. He will be. But it just all depends. Well, first of all, we don't know which Johnson's going to be running the organization. That's first of all.
Well, one of them
probably going to be Christopher Johnson.
Probably going to be Christopher Johnson.
Right, because one of them is going to be doing something.
They got to hire a new GM, and I'm kind of scared that they're just going to promote Phil Savage. I would hope not. They go outside the organization to get a new general.
But so manager. Nobody, but to say though that there's zero chance of Aaron Rodgers.
I wouldn't say zero.
No, it's definitely not zero.
I'll bring it down to about 5. I'll lower it to about 5%. It's a non-zero chance, but I don't think it's likely.
With the Jets, you never know. That's the sad part.
I would just say it, I want to say hello to my friend Kyle Shelby, who's been here before. Kyle's here next week. Kyle, we're talking football right now, but thank you for the wrestling talk. You just missed it. I do appreciate that, and we'll see you coming up here next week, and we'll talk about what's going on with you. But, I mean, I would just say, based on what you're telling me, if the New York Jets are going to be in the business of putting some because you have to sell tickets, right? We all agree they have to sell some tickets, right?
And they raised
Aaron Rodgers is really the only option you have to sell those tickets, right? Because you don't want to have
if that's going to sell you tickets, though. Does anybody want Aaron Rodgers back?
I don't think the fan base does. No.
What if this team? I hate to do this because I feel like the last couple of weeks we've been waiting for this. But what if this team somehow does catch lightning in a bottle, wins 3 or 4 of the next 6 games?
Okay.
The defense
doesn't matter.
It's not going to do anything, right? They're already at 8 losses, so
yeah.
But you might feel good about Aaron Rodgers, and all right, I'm going to bring him back. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud.
I think the best move, the smartest move, is to cut your losses, deal with that dead cap hit that you're going to get hit with next year, move on, bring in someone young or another veteran.
I mean, I agree with you that you everybody here would want the Jets to win minimal amount of games and have a top 5 pick, right?
Of course.
I mean, they look like an uninterested organization. The players have quit. And listen, I didn't think 8 weeks later I'd be saying this. I'm defending Robert Saleh right now.
Of course, he was their best coach.
I think the worst decision they made was firing him.
Well, I mean, defensively, they were in games. I mean, the defense last year was very good. You didn't have a quarterback. I mean, if you had, I hate to say it.
Ever since he got fired, the defense has been horrible.
I would even
which tells me Jeff Ulbrich was never really a great defensive coordinator.
If I
Saleh's hands were all over that defense.
He might have been. I'm saying he might have been he might be a good defensive coordinator, but he can't do defensive coordinator and be a head coach at the same time.
I also think it tells me Robert Saleh's hands were all over that defense as well.
Yeah, if I were to tell you that, I hate to go back to Aaron Rodgers, but if you had Aaron Rodgers this year as the quarterback last year of the New York Jets with the New York Jets defense, that the New York Jets would have made the playoffs, I wouldn't be crazy in saying that, right?
Listen, maybe Aaron Rodgers Achilles injury might have been.
But even his play, if you look at his play this year, I mean, like, he didn't play terrible. I mean, other than the stupid one play he made when they gave up the touchdown, he played
terrible. But he's also not healthy. He's not. He
can't move
down the field.
He can't move anymore.
Well, shouldn't we have saw that when Aaron Rodgers played his last game with the Green Bay Packers against Detroit? Remember that game he played Sunday night? He didn't look that good in that game.
The Achilles changed.
He didn't look that good all season.
No, I got that, but I'm just saying, going from that moment on. I mean,
right.
But
even before that, all that season, he wasn't that good. That was one of his worst seasons he ever played.
Yeah,
they had a horrible first half and got lightning in the bottle.
That he had a broken thumb or something, right?
Yeah,
he had a torn ligament or something, right? It was a torn ligament or something. But look, the Jets are going to the drawing board. Let me ask you one more thing on the Jets. I'll do a couple things on football. I know Rob Maraska's dying to talk baseball, but I got to get football. I got Hall of Fame. You asked for. I am gonna do it.
Well, the Hall of Fame. Only because they didn't announce the.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to it. It's a hot topic in January, but I'll spend a few minutes on it. I will, but I do want to ask. I have to ask pretty much the same question. I hate to do that, but then you're getting a new general manager for the New York Jets. You're most certainly getting a new coach for the New York Jets. And now, where does this franchise go? Because you mentioned Robert Saleh. Yeah. People were unhappy with Robert Saleh. That goes back to the play calling, right? In the Broncos game, the Vikings game, people were unhappy with his play calling, but the Jets were in game. He just didn't have the quarterback. I think Robert Saleh's story is a different one, but I hate to throw this out there. And I know social media says a lot of things, a lot of fake news, right?
Here we go.
I think you know where I'm going with this, and even Alan Michaels might be looking at me with this. But if I were to tell you that the New York Jets head coach next year would be an old one, and the coach that the last time the New York Jets had.
Do we really have to have this conversation?
It's gonna get some interest. I could probably throw a clip on social media. Maybe my TikTok will go even more further up. And if I were to tell you that the coach of the New York Jets in 2025 would be an old face, would be the name of one Rex Ryan, what would you guys all say to that? Rex Ryan, meet the old face, a familiar one, as the new coach of the New York Jets. I mean, you don't get do-overs too often. I mean, Joe Gibbs got one years ago with the then Washington Redskins. I mean, I guess you can.
He's a multiple Super Bowl champion, so he's okay to get a second chance.
Well, in Jet history, right, back-to-back championship games is pretty much the equivalent of that. I mean, I hate to throw it out there. I hate to say it. I mean, he's got 4 playoff victories under his belt in the New York Jet franchise.
I'll be honest, I don't get the chatter about Rex. I get that Rex Ryan wants to get back into coaching and he wants to coach the Jets again. That's great, but he should not be coaching again. He's not a good coach, right? He didn't do good in Buffalo. He had the 2 good years with the Jets. You know why? Because Mangini before him built this nice team for him.
Yep, they were talking about that on the radio. I heard that.
And then the next 2 years after that, 3 years after that, whatever, not good. Goes to Buffalo, not good. He's not a good head coach.
You're basically telling me that
he's coached in 10 years too. On top of that,
2016 was the last time he was in the league. But it's a Jet franchise. But fans are feeling nostalgic. I mean, it's been a long time. It's been a long time.
It's ridiculous that there
you
are. You
believe in nostalgia, Alan? You've been a successul guy in different places. I mean, you believe in nostalgia? Should the Jets go down that road and bring back Rex Ryan? I mean.
I can visibly remember those AFC Championship Jets teams, and honestly, that's the last time I've ever seen the Jets actually good. So I mean,
they had one season since then of over 500. Every other year, it's been abysmal. Other than the 1 year where they had the Fitz magic and they missed the playoffs the last weekend of the season, losing a game in Buffalo that they had no business to.
When I would have took Rex Ryan back was after they fired Saleh. And they would have named Rex Ryan then. So this way, Ulbrich could have stayed as a defensive coordinator. Rex Ryan could have been just that head coach, leader of everything, and just kind of oversee everything.
May I ask if you and Sharman even talk about this on the show? Don't spoil the whole show. But you guys,
I don't think so. Not about Rex Ryan. We got into the other stuff. We got into the article in the Athletic that kind of broke everything open. He doesn't believe a lot of the stuff that's in that, and I disagree. I agree with everything that's in there because that's Woody Johnson's got his hands on.
Well, Woody Johnson has not been. He's not had a very good track record as Jets.
No, he hasn't.
No, to be objectively speaking,
he micromanages everything. That's his problem.
And that's a big. I agree with you on that. But Rex Ryan should not coach the New York Jets. No.
We have to aim higher than that. Come on.
But who else is out there? Bill Belichick ain't coming to the New York Jets. Who's out there? Doug Peterson, you ain't going to bring him in. He just failed with the Jaguars. So. He gets fired.
But you know what? That's a Jet move.
You know what? Give me John Gruden.
You know what? Did you mention that in the Sportswire group? That's an interesting name, but he's got a lot of baggage, right? I mean, he said something a couple years ago that he shouldn't have said.
We need somebody with baggage. We need somebody.
But Rex didn't have that kind of baggage. I mean, Rex's only problem was his wife on the newspaper. Today would be like not a big deal at all. But that was today would be like, oh, okay, that's not a big deal. But like Gruden, I think went a little far, if I recall correctly. I'm not going to go out there and say it, but I'm pretty sure he said something that he shouldn't have said or did.
Gruden got stopped by Barstool. I don't know. Yeah, he's kind of repairing his image right now.
Is that repairing an image to come back to the league?
Yeah. I think that's what he's doing.
To me, he wants to coach again.
Because I don't know if you've seen his TikTok following. I mean, there's some diehard Gruden fans.
I have a following on. It's not James Taylor's TikTok level, but I'm getting 800 a pop. I get 800 views, 900 views, 1,000 views. Good. I do. I have some new followers. We got actually 1 or 2 new subscribers on YouTube. But like, I don't know, John Gruden. I don't know if that's a cross I'm ready to bear yet because of the.
They need the kick your ass edge mentality, and they don't have that. I don't think there's another coaching candidate that's going to provide that.
But Gruden's track record hasn't been that great since the Super Bowl either.
No.
But I still think he's a very good coach.
I'm not. Well, I think the Raiders were on the road to turning it around. I think he went from 4 wins to 7 to 8, and they were in first place, if I recall correctly, at the time they fired him. But his record since the Super Bowl is under 500. Essentially, he's got Rex Ryan's record since the Super Bowl. I mean, so really, you could say that, well, Rex has been here before. He knows the system. And he doesn't have the baggage of what I think the New York media would not let Gruden go off the hook with that. I think it's a deep cross to bear. The New York media, I mean, it sounds good, but, he has something that's a blemish. Let me throw it out there. Is Mike McCarthy a candidate for you guys?
No.
He's getting fired. No.
Nope.
Because are you going for a young – because remember, you went the young route. You went Salah. He was the guy with San Francisco, right?
Must have experience.
But then who's going to be out there?
I wouldn't mind Vrabel, to be honest, but I don't think he'll come either, but –
he don't strike me as a New York coach. Gruden would be the guy on paper, but I don't know with what he did.
Yeah, I don't know if the team's going to be willing to.
I think it's a
Mike Vrabel would rather put pins in his eyeballs than coach the Jets.
You know where he might stay in Cleveland, and Stefanski might become available after this year.
Would you take Stefanski? Got a little bit of success, couple playoff appearances. That's a better name,
recycled guy,
merry-go-round, second time.
The other first year guy I would take is maybe Aaron Glenn, the former Jet with Detroit.
I don't want any part of any rookie coach.
He's a former Jet though, but it would be digestible. Digestible.
Yeah, I wouldn't have it either way.
Joe Dell wants to say the only place that should recruit Rex is a footwear boutique, and he's referring to the misses.
Yeah.
Well, but today that's nothing compared to what Gruden did.
Rex would love to work at a footwear boutique. So,
well, a lot of people that would.
I don't know if I'd want to buy shoes while I'm there.
Well, Al Bundy worked at a shoe store all those years ago.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Hey, listen, I would love to work at a shoe store. I would retire from sports, but Alan, I think I'm passing the baton to you now. At this point, it's time to retire. We got the watch hours now.
There you go.
Take the Facebook account over. Jets Talk now Googling how to tie a hangman noose. Yeah,
I know the feeling. Trust me.
I don't know. Listen, I'll say one more thing on that. I mean, if you're gonna go experience, there's only a handful of names that you would think about that would be available. I mean, McCarthy. You said no outright. No on McCarthy.
No.
Right?
Nah, I wouldn't want him.
even though the record's good. Other than this year, the record's good in Dallas, and the playoffs hasn't been there, but the record's good. No. Nobody. Doug Peterson, we're not going down that road.
Maybe if
right?
McCarthy came, maybe they would keep Aaron Rodgers.
No,
I don't know about
Aaron hates McCarthy.
Yeah, I was
He
gonna say,
hates
I don't think that
McCarthy.
relationship is good.
I don't know. I'm just trying to think out loud of if you want experience, who would be out there. I mean, Gruden, to me, I just think it's too steep of a thing to climb.
Yeah,
Any chance? Show any
get
chance?
cleansed. So I don't know if bringing in somebody with baggage, they have to clean out. You know, they got to drain the swamp, as somebody, a famous person once said.
I think TBK did have a good line. Al Bundy would be your guy. Football in a shoe store. Football. Remember, Married with Children. That was a good line. I thought it was a good line, but
You know what they need?
what?
Woody Johnson needs to take a page from James Dolan's book. Hire an experienced football guy like Dolan hired Leon Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Back off. Because Dolan, for the first time, is actually.
Well, you said that Woody Johnson's not going to be around much longer, right? Because he's
Christopher Johnson too.
He's only going to be a phone call away. Remember that.
Oh, but James Dolan, he did this years ago with Glenn Sather. Hands off, and the Rangers have been a very successful organization.
Yeah, the Knicks have turned it around.
Knicks now under Leon Rose have become a very successful organization, and they're only getting better.
I think the Jets, though, have had a generation worth of ineptitude. I think that's the difference. Rich Kotite.
Well, the Knicks were
Jimmy
pretty
Carter,
good, too.
head coaches. Rich Kotite, Staten Island guy. I can't knock Rich Kotite because I actually know, believe it or not, I know where Rich Kotite lives. So I can't knock Rich Kotite. I really do. I know where he lives.
I know where he lives.
I do. Listen, I know people that know him. He's a very reclusive man. I don't even think he stepped out in the spotlight. He might have been like a Teddy
He seemed
Atlas.
like too nice to be a head coach.
Yeah, I think it was I just think that he didn't have the personality. He was. I think the last I heard, he was at a Teddy Atlas dinner here about like 10 years ago. I want to say Rich Kotite, actually, he doesn't live too far from us. I can't tell you where the address is on the air, but he lives literally not too far. I could walk to his house. Let me put it. I mean, it'd be a walk, but I could do it. Let's put it that way. But yeah, that's that. Okay. I'll go to the NFL at the end. I know, Robin Russell, you've been dying in here. I know you got to get in the Hall of Fame talk. I know we'll close the show with a few NFL thoughts. But so who's on the ballot? Who's on the Hall of Fame ballot?
Ichiro and CC
He's going in.
are the new guys. They're both. I think they're both going in.
All right, and who else is on the ballot that I'd say? Let me think about
Wagner. Remember we talked about Wagner.
Wagner's got one more shot, right? Last shot on the ballot.
Last shot.
Yeah,
okay,
and he has a chance.
I think he's got a very good chance. What did he miss the ballot by? Like 4 votes?
Yeah, he was 73.8%.
Like a handful of votes.
I think he's getting in.
So. I'm thinking we're talking 5 guys. Andrew Jones.
Andrew Jones this year. I think
I don't know if he makes it, but me and Chris were talking about it on our show. It's like
we're going to play it tomorrow. Yep.
Think about him. All right, the last part of his career, he went downhill.
Well, he's got the defense. It's a new generation. People like that. I don't think Andrew Jones. What did he get? 60% last year. 61?
Yeah, 61. Yeah, 60.
I think he's got another year or two. Beltran's probably a year or two away, right?
Yeah, but
we talked about it. Yeah. I think with Beltran, I think they're holding him back because of the Astros thing.
Probably.
I think so too.
Because if
I think he'll get on the ballot. I mean, I think he'll get on the ballot. I mean, Brian McCann's on the ballot. Not a name that really strikes me. Adam Jones. I know TBK's here. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
No, he's definitely not a Hall of Famer.
Felix Hernandez.
King.
He had a nice peak, but it just wasn't long enough, In
this era of baseball, he'll get more consideration.
Yeah, a little bit.
He'll get more consideration. Who do I got? Ian Kinsler, another guy that's like, it's the very good class. I mean, Hanley Ramirez is not getting in the Hall of Fame next.
No.
Fernando Rodney, I mean, he pitched forever to get to 300 saves. Next.
Nah, not getting in.
No.
Well,
if Wagner's not getting in, how are you going to put Rodney in?
How about Dustin Pedroia?
I was saying this with Rob. I think he's the guy. He's a guy that hopefully
Buster Posey lane, right? Buster Posey.
I think later on, Pedroia could get in.
Like some big moments, major moments. He might.
Pedroia's got a shot later on, but
he's
not.
Going to get a lot more votes than people think because of the moments that he's had. He's been a multiple time. Like Buster Posey. I didn't think Buster Posey would be like any consideration to be in the Hall of Fame, but
he'll get it.
But Dustin Pedroia is a name that's probably interesting. Carlos Gonzalez, yeah, right. Curtis Granderson, local guys, not getting in the Hall of Fame. Troy Tulowitzki,
nope.
Many
injuries. No.
Ben Zobrist, come on, next. I'm looking at who's on I'm just having fun. Russell Martin next. So really, you're looking at Ichiro's getting in. Ichiro,
CeCe. Those are your two that are definitely getting in.
I think CeCe gets in. I don't think he gets in with like 90+%, but I'd say 80-something%, right? 82, 83%.
Ichiro might get 100%.
Ichiro should get 100%. Ichiro should get 100%.
But I don't know if he will. There's always that one guy.
Yeah, there's always he's going to be right there though. But like Chris said, there's always that one guy.
I think so. We're looking at 2. Wagner would be your 3rd, and that's it.
I think it'll be 3 this year.
I don't think Jones is getting in this year.
Beltran should get in. I don't know how Andrew Jones is not in.
I think Andrew Jones wasn't in because he, like Rob correctly pointed. I talk about him every year. I've been doing this for 6 years because he ended his career like his batting average is low.
Yeah,
he finished
He's still
poorly.
a 400 home run guy. He's the greatest fielding center fielder outside of Willie Mays.
Yeah.
Well, he got sucked in the era of Ken Griffey. He was sucked in the era of Jim Edmonds. Sucked into all
he's
those.
Better than those guys.
Well, defensively.
Right. That's what I said. Defensively, easily better than them.
I think the problem is that he ended his career. Like we talk about every year, I talk about his numbers. He after the 50+ home run year, he had one more big year, and the rest of his career, he tailed off.
Yeah, he did. The second, I think after he hit 30. I think we were looking.
He had I think like 36 home runs or whatever it was, and his career went south. I think he'll get in, but he's got two more times off after this with 9 and 10.
Yeah,
Beltran I think will get in, but is being punished.
He definitely is.
Beltran will get in. There's no definites, but I think he'll get in. Chase Utley's moving up, 28. I don't know if he gets in. He moved up a lot.
Better not.
Well, you know what? But I talked about Posey. I talked about Pedroia, and there's going to be a movement. I'm not saying
Buster Posey. Buster Posey's Joe Mauer championships.
That's true.
I think Joe Mauer though had a better career than Posey. To be honest, he had a better career. He had 350 plus a couple times. He had batting champ several times.
Both won MVPs.
Posey's got the postseason numbers.
Yeah, but Posey's career, I think, I don't know. Posey's career to me is a little bit less than Mauer's. I think Mauer's is a better career. I think Posey ended it maybe better, if that makes sense. Anybody else I want to throw out there about Frankie
what hurt Mauer was that he became a first baseman.
He got in though, but Mauer got in.
Numbers were as a catcher, then it would be easily in.
But he got in though. He got in. Omar Vizquel not getting in for obvious reasons.
Off the field stuff.
Bobby Abreu's a name that gets ballyhooed a lot.
He's very good, but he's not.
14 and a half.
He's not Hall of Fame. He's very good. Like we have that line.
Well, Fred McGriff got in the Veterans Committee. Harold Baines got in, and he might get in. He might be a Veterans Committee candidate. Bobby Abreu had 2,500 hits, right? 2,500 hits.
Yeah,
1,400 RBI, 1,500 WAR. He was like a guy. He was a consistent player. 100 RBIs, 100 runs scored, 30 stolen bases. Again, 1,360, 2,500 hits almost, 574 doubles. 59 triples, 1,500 runs scored almost. He's borderline. I don't know if he's getting in. Andy Pettitte, obvious reasons. Mark Burley, Jimmy Rollins. They're all next. So I would say 3 guys. 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
3. Anything anybody else wants to add?
No, I think that it's pretty clear. Who's a cut above in this Hall of Fame class, honestly.
I really hope Andrew Jones gets a little bit more votes and he gets in by the end of his, end of his run here because he definitely deserves it. I mean,
Yeah,
makes
I
no
think
sense,
Jones
but-
will get in. I just don't think, based on the way these writers vote, that it's
Right.
not going to be this year coming up.
No.
Yeah,
That's
no,
it.
I don't think it's.
Okay, all right. Anything?
Okay.
I mean, obviously, Cy Young Award winners. Tarek Skubal was. Chris Sale was obviously to talk about that. I saw Rookie of the Year's manager. Yeah, I'll get to football to close it out. But anything on the awards front, you guys were surprised on? Anything else on awards? Nothing all came to
just
you.
like we
Oh,
said, the manager you could have went in a different position.
Murphy
he
got it
obviously
right in
could've
Milwaukee.
Mendoza, but
Voigt,
I don't know.
Cleveland was with Voigt, right? He won it in Cleveland. He
Yeah,
won the
vote,
award.
Yep.
I mean, Rookie of the
There was
Years were
really
pretty
no-
much.
Yeah, there was no shocks in the postseason awards.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Not at all.
we pretty much knew who was going to win what. The only like Chris said, manager of the year that could have went anyway. But everything else, MVP we knew, Cy Young we knew, Rookie of the Year. So
And Soto, I hear 660 million was thrown, 640 million was out there, and Soto was still developing, right?
I was listening to Buster Olney was on Michael K today, and he said next week things should really heat up with Soto.
So we'll see something in the next week or two, right? Winter meetings are coming up.
Yeah, he's saying it's going to get done before that.
Well, we'll see. That's going to set the tone for everything else. So that
I was speaking with
Yeah,
somebody.
that's what we're waiting on.
I was speaking with somebody 2 days ago, and they said, well, the Mets shouldn't go after Soto because with the money you spend on Soto, you could use that to get another pitcher, get another bat. Mets make a move earlier in the week, and that's the route the Mets should go rather than avoid spending on Soto. And then
So the further freaking money then.
he's got the money. We know Steve Cohen's got the money.
All right.
Yeah, he's got the money. I hear
Right.
Yankees, Walker Buehler maybe is some interest there.
I heard about that today. Yeah, makes
It's a
sense.
Good
Yeah,
move.
It'd be a good move for the
You
Yankees.
never have enough pitching.
But do
Right,
the
that's
Yankees
cliche,
bring back
but it's true.
Soto? Do the Yankees bring back Soto? Yeah, I heard the Pinstripe Chronicles talking about they have the pitch because you just played with Judge. You had this amazing season, but that's your pitch. No?
Yeah,
Not
I
gonna-
get it, but you know what? It's going to come down to money, right? Like
exactly.
if the rumor is true, right, that Cohen is not going to let anybody outbid him, and he outbids everybody, right? It's going to come down to if it's close. If the numbers are close, I think he'll go back to the Yankees. But if Cohen comes up and blows out everybody by $50-60 million, or if someone else does, then yeah, I think he's going to leave. So I think it comes down to what's the Yankees' limit, because I don't think the Mets have a limit. So I think it's going to come down to what Steinbrenner, like, does he have a number in his head that he's like, all right, we're not going more than 700 million. Let's just use that. Like, and then Cohen would be like, no, I'll give him 750 for 15 years, whatever.
Well,
So
take
that's what
his
it's
word
down
for
to.
whatever you want, but some of the things Michael K was saying the other day made me really feel like I don't think he's going to go back to the Yankees because, first of all, he was here. Cohen's willing to outbid anybody by 50 million or more.
Yeah.
The number 660 that was out there, he doesn't think Steinbrenner is going to go to that number.
That's what I
So
mean.
if the Mets get Soto, Alonso's gone.
I wouldn't say that.
I wouldn't say it's a foregone conclusion, but I would probably start to put it in the 60-40. Yeah, he leaves.
Sean Manaea, what about him?
He might be gone.
Listen, I don't
I
think
think-
any move.
I think Benai could get a nice deal, and I don't think David Stearns wants to commit to that kind of deal.
But
Not-
you commit to Juan Soto, though.
I don't think any of those moves are connected to Soto. I'll tell you.
No.
that.
Okay.
No.
Okay. That was my
They're
question.
not.
Are they connected? They're not.
They're
Why
not,
not? Why not?
they're not connected to Soto. The only thing with Benai is David Stearns might not want to do 4 years, and there could be a good 4-year deal that Benai gets out.
He had a great second
Yeah,
half.
but
He
I
had
don't
a
know if I
great
give him-
year.
He's
And
34, right?
Sean Manaea.
Yeah, or 32.
Sean Manaea is hold tight, everybody.
I
He
got it right.
is 32. He'll be 33 on February 1st.
Yeah, I'm not giving him a 4-year deal.
No,
But
If someone
someone
gives it
might.
to him, then
give
I'd
him
say thanks.
someone will. I
Yeah.
believe somebody will.
But I'll sign Burns. I'll sign Freed. I'll sign Snell before him. But I'm not giving that guy a 4-year.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's an interesting quagmire. The Mets have some decisions. The Yankees have some decisions. We'll catch that on the New York MLB talk now this afternoon here on Sportswire. Liftoff Jets will be on the next day. So we'll definitely talk a lot about that. We'll be back here 2 weeks, and we might do a show. I might do a show, though, in the 2 weeks. I might do a regular sports. I don't know yet, but I'm not going to be here 10 o'clock with the regular guys. I have the Stompers on here. If I don't, their 1 year anniversary of coming on sports. But we may do a show at some point, a regular sports show. I don't know yet, but I'll let you know. But I want to get to NFL. I know Alan's ready to go pass out on me. So let me. Any games you guys are watching? Any other developments, real quick, before I get to closing thoughts? I'll go with Alan because I haven't heard from Alan.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all saw it or not, but Eli Manning has a strong possibility of being a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's a semifinalist right now.
Who was that? Repeat that for me again.
Eli Manning.
You know, I did see that, and who was it that said that Eli Manning was a surefire Hall of Famer, first ballot? Was it Dan Orlovsky, or was it somebody that said that? I think
He
right?
is. He is.
Is he?
Yeah, he won 2 Super Bowls.
2-time Super Bowl MVP gets you in.
Despite the 500 career record and touchdown to interception ratio, not so good.
Look what he did in those 2 years. Look who he beat, and then look who he beat in the Super Bowl.
He beat Brett Favre. Yeah,
right.
He had Tony Romo. Right, he beat
on the
Tony
road
Romo.
most of those games as well in the
7.
playoffs.
He had 8 wins. Right, 8 playoff wins.
He beat
right?
Brett Favre in the freezing,
snow.
the frozen tundra in Green Bay.
He beat Jim Harbaugh. Right, one of those years. Jim Harbaugh. Right.
Yep.
49.
The second.
Yeah,
the second-
that's right. He beat the 49ers.
Beat Harbaugh. Beat Brady
second
twice.
championship.
Yeah, but the rest of his career didn't win a playoff game.
The rest of it was pretty mediocre. That's one of
But
the
he
things.
won
he's
2
fighting.
Super Bowls.
Listen, if he
won
didn't win
2
those 2
Super
Super Bowls, I
The
would
NFL
100%
Hall
agree
of
with
Fame's
you,
not
but
the
he
baseball
won.
Hall of Fame. The baseball Hall of Fame's a different one. NFL Hall
But-
of Fame, they're not. It's not the same Hall of Fame.
Not with the quarterbacks. Quarterbacks, you win Super Bowls, you're in.
And his quarterbacks are different because statistically, the NFL quarterback is such a different one. Are you putting him in, Allen, first ballot? I don't put him in
The
first
class this year isn't as impressive as previous years. So honestly, if he were to go first ballot, I mean, it would be this class.
I mean, he got 2 Super Bowls. I'll give you that. I mean, I don't know. But his career record, his touchdown to interception ratio. I mean, I guess I put him in the Hall of Fame. I guess I don't know if it's the first ballot. I've had this conversation before. I mean, Antonio Gates is on the ballot. Is he in the Hall of Fame?
He's
You
gotta
putting
be in.
Antonio?
Yes, easily.
He's already been on the ballot a couple of years. I mean, he should have been in first ballot.
Antonio Gates was like a phenomenal receiver. I know Joe Dell's got a comment. I'll get to
I think
him.
he's 3rd or 4th in most receptions for a tight
I mean,
end.
Adam Vinatieri, right? We're all agreeing he's in the
He
Hall
should
of
get
Fame.
in.
First ballot,
Yep.
yeah. He
Uh,
yeah.
Terrell Suggs is a Hall of Famer, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not first
He's
ballot.
definitely a Hall of Famer, but I don't know about first ballot.
Earl
Yeah.
Thomas.
That's so debatable.
Marshall
It is.
Yanda. I don't know if I'm saying they're first balloters.
Oh, Marshall Yanda, he was a all-pro guard for years. I mean,
I would
he
have
was
put
a
in-
staple.
Another guy I would put in Reggie Wayne.
Yeah, that's a name that gets ballyhooed a lot. That's a name. I mean, who else I have here on the ballot?
You know who I'm sick. You know who I'm sick and tired of seeing wait is Torrey Holt.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
that
should
was
go
the
in
Rams.
too.
That was the Rams. A lot of
Wide receivers
greatest
tough.
show
That's
on
why.
earth.
Wide receivers are it's very tough,
But
but
that was like the Andrew Jones argument. You know, you're a product of your environment, who you played with. Hines Ward's on the ballot, I see. Right, Ricky Waters, modern era. I got Steve Smith Sr. Steve Smith, a Hall of Famer.
That's another one. Wide receiver, right?
Yeah,
That's another.
Anquan Bolden would be a Hall of Famer, right?
I don't know. He was a solid receiver for a long time.
Bolden had some
He had
monster
great
years.
hands.
I don't.
Anquan Bolden he was like a
He had monster years.
yeah.
I feel like Smith is again, probably stat wise is in, but was he a great receiver?
I don't think he's first ballot, honestly.
Yeah, maybe not first ballot, but I think he gets in eventually.
But all right,
Yeah.
does Eli Manning get in first ballot this year? Does he get in?
I think so.
I think so.
2-time Super Bowl MVP gets you in.
His namesake and the 2 Super Bowls
The
over
name
Brady.
too, exactly.
But
Yeah,
he
never missed a
made his
game.
brother. He didn't have the career his brother had.
He's not his brother.
Not many
but
people do. I always say there's different levels in the Hall of Fame, right? And the Mannings are a perfect example. Peyton Manning is top shelf quarterback, right? One of the greatest that ever lived. Eli's not one of the greatest that ever lived, but he's definitely a Hall of Famer.
Oh, I think he's a Hall of Famer. I hate to say, if I got to think about it, I don't think I'm putting him in first ballot.
But you shouldn't think about it. Eli's a 2-time Super Bowl MVP.
But
And
I watched
forget about his whole career. Think about those 2 years, right? Think about that. That's one of the most clutch performances we've seen. Those 2 years, those Super Bowl runs.
But the rest of his career was not Hall of Fame like.
Right. But you can't
2
not
Super
put
Bowl
a guy in
MVPs.
because of that.
I mean, if Namath's in there, then
you guys. So for you baseball guys, David Cohn was an outstanding pitcher in the postseason. He's not in the Hall of Fame. Should I put David Cohn in the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame?
You can't
Not
compare
different.
that.
David Cohn won like 5 World Series.
Different sport. It's like apples
different.
and oranges. Comparing
But David
somebody in
Cohn's a guy now that had 3,000 plus strikeouts, 190 plus wins, multiple Cy Youngs, and they don't consider him. Brett Saberhagen, right? They had postseason success, but their careers, other than
3,000 Ks will get you in the Hall of Fame.
It's not in for David Cohn, not in the Hall of Fame.
He doesn't have 3,000 Ks.
I think David Cohn does.
No.
I think he does.
No.
I'll check it right now.
Double
for
check.
you.
Please
I'm
double
check
check.
because Joe
He
does
doesn't.
got
I'm telling you,
comment.
he does. I'm telling you, he doesn't.
You can't compare the baseball with football. In that
You know what's a good
aspect.
comparison? I know a lot of people bring him up, okay, is Jim Plunkett. Because he won 2 Super Bowls.
2,668 strikeouts.
Jim Plunkett won 2 Super Bowls for the Raiders, but had an average career at best. Not even average, below average career. But he did.
I
win 2
wouldn't
Super
say
Bowls, but he
Eli's
wasn't the
career was.
MVP.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Eli's career was below average. Other than the 2 years, I would say it was like slightly above average. How about that? I would say like he had some good years. I just didn't think he was like an elite quarterback of 2 years.
He's definitely he was not an elite quarterback. No, definitely not.
No.
He was an okay quarterback, a good quarterback.
But I do think the 2 Super Bowls he won, they were so just ingrained in people's memories.
I hear this, and
Exactly.
he's going to get in. I would vote for him, but I just don't know if he's, to me, I said, oh my God, he's first ballot.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I just don't
His
think
resume doesn't scream that.
No, the resume, but those 2 years does.
Yeah,
And
he's
he's
getting
playing
in because
football.
he's the only reason I'm talking about him is because of the 2 years, right?
Right, exactly. But you can't like not talk about those. That's the thing.
I agree.
So you can't not talk about those 2 years, but you also can't ignore the rest of the body of work. So you're saying he played 2 years, wins 2 Super Bowls, retires.
I'm going to
There's no
pull
other
his
body
stats
of
up.
work.
Who else
I'm
has
gonna
done what
tell
he did? Who's another 2-time Super Bowl
there's certain
MVP quarterback?
quarterbacks.
Ben Roethlisberger.
Did Joe Montana
He's-
win 2 Super Bowl MVPs?
You gonna tell me he's not a Hall of
Did Tom
Famer?
Brady get 2? I said Tom Brady's a Hall of
Tom
Famer.
Brady?
No, but
He
you
beat
asked
Tom
me
Brady
who else was
twice.
a 2-time. I understand, but you asked me who else was a 2-time
Right?
Super Bowl MVP. I'm not saying
Right.
that.
I mean,
Well,
to
he
be
is
fair, there is
perfect
good
as well.
company to be in. I mean,
I understand. Listen, 57,023 yards. That's good. 366 TDs, 244 INT. All right. 10 wins,
That's top
10 wins,
10.
10 wins.
That's all top 10, right? Yards, touchdowns, top 10, top
He
15.
made the
of all
playoffs
time.
6 times in his career. 6.
Okay.
4,000 yards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. All right, 7 times. He's a Pro Bowler 4 times. He's getting in. I'm not saying he's not. I just don't know. Is that first bout 60% completion? Not terrible. Led the league in interceptions 3 times, 244. I mean, look, he's in. I'm not denying he's in. I just look at it. Is he first ballot? 117 and 117. You know what he's like? And I hate to go back to baseball. What's his face? Phil Niekro and Nolan Ryan. What are they like? 322 and like 290 or something like that. 320 and 280. That's exactly who he is. He's their version.
Just for comparison. And just for
No, he's not.
comparison.
But no, winning
not.
percentage he is though. But
No.
in the win percentage he is. I'm not saying that their careers are the same, but like Nolan Ryan's career winning percentage is like
It's hard to
500.
compare a quarterback to a baseball pitcher.
I agree
They're
with
totally
that, but
different.
I have to compare it to something.
No.
What do you want me to say?
Well,
Compare him to Tom Brady? I
Eli
can't
Manning?
compare him to Drew Bledsoe. I can't compare him to guys that aren't in the Hall of Fame. I have to compare him to somebody. Matt Ryan's another name. Is Matt Ryan getting in the Hall of Fame?
You know what? His career numbers probably gets him in, and he's an MVP.
Well, his career numbers were better.
I have to think about it, though.
But okay, so
Is Randall Cunningham a Hall of Famer?
Who?
Randall Cunningham a Hall of Famer. He's another guy.
I don't think so.
No.
If he won 2 Super Bowls, you would have put him in, though, right?
Well, I'm giving you the
as an
perfect
MVP,
comparison
yeah.
to Eli
Kurt
Manning.
Warner. I got one.
The
I got one.
quarterback. Yeah,
I got one. Is Kurt Warner a Hall of Famer?
100%.
he's in.
100% or not?
Yeah,
No, he's 100% a Super Bowl quarterback.
He's in.
Okay, but was he but my point was he a Hall of Famer in your eyes?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think he did enough to get in.
So that's essentially the reason why Eli Manning gets into me. It's the same point.
Yeah.
Eli Manning is getting in because of those 2 years.
And Kurt Warner gets in because of 3 years. He won 1 Super Bowl, heroically got to the Cardinals to a Super Bowl.
The story
had a Rams the story, and the Rams basically had another Super Bowl and they lost it. They fumbled it. He had 3 Super Bowl appearances and won 1. He's getting in.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll in 10 years from now we'll talk about Russell Wilson in the same way. Is he a Hall of Famer?
the way he's finishing now with Pittsburgh, maybe.
Well, there's a lot we could talk about. We have a lot of
He's gonna
games.
have a couple of seasons, I think. Good seasons for him to get in, but he's close.
He's probably going to get in for the same reasons that Eli Manning and Kurt Warner are in. I mean, I'm not saying, listen, I'm not opposed to Eli Manning getting in. I'm just saying, like, first ballot. I mean,
again, you want to throw the numbers out there. The guy to compare to is from his own class, Ben Roethlisberger.
And he's
Ben Roethlisberger won 2. He won 2.
He won 2 Super Bowls, and his career record 165, 81-1.
Wow,
Ben Roethlisberger is a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Ben Roethlisberger was 2-1, never had a losing season. That's like.
And Roethlisberger also is a 2-time Super Bowl champ.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
He's getting
right.
in.
He won 05 and 09, right?
Baggage attached to him, but
right. So that maybe knocks him out of a first ballot, but I still think he gets him. Maybe.
Ben Roethlisberger's getting in the Hall of Fame, and here's his stats before we move on.
No, here's a better guy. How about
1.
compare him to Phillip Rivers?
I was thinking about him, but he hasn't won one.
Right, but
Yeah,
still,
but
look at Phillip Rivers' numbers.
Phillip Rivers had a better career than Eli.
His numbers were so much.
63,000. You know what Phillip Rivers is? Dan Marino. He's the Dan Marino of the generation, right? 60.
So good.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, well, Dan Marino's numbers were so good. Yeah, I'm not comparing him to it, but I'm saying like that's his numbers. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Pro Bowls. He's been to what? 1 championship game in his career. 134 and 106. Yeah, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, 12 years of 4,000 yards. I mean, listen. Rivers is getting in. There's no doubt about it. He's getting in. Let me get to a few more things before we sign off, get to closing thoughts. If I was Steinbrenner, I would put a bloated offer on the table for Soto just to draw the money out of Cohn's pocket, but Cohn's got more money than Steinbrenner.
Right.
That's the difference. Yes. Cohn's got more money than him. He's a real estate developer.
That's what I mean. I think Cohen's going to top any offer.
Because Cohen's got more money.
How much higher?
It seems like this seems to be, and it should be, this is Cohen's prized possession. This is the guy.
Well, this also goes on the 5-year clock, right? He has the 5-year clock. I want to be a World Series winner in 5 years. Aren't we coming up to year 5, year 4, the 4th full year as owner, right? Because there's the 5th year, but the 4th full year is owner. So technically on that clock, time's ticking. I'm just saying. Right. Eli gets in first ballot. I don't think it's nepotism. I think it's 2 Super Bowls. I mean, look, he's getting in.
It's not going to hurt him. Right?
No, he's getting in because of that. I think Phillip Rivers was a Hall of Famer because his body of work was just boom. But he didn't win one. But that's that. Speaking of people who were here now, Chase Wakefield, he is interesting because he's having a wedding which is taking place. He's doing a wrestling wedding super show, and maybe he should invite all the Sportswire radio presenters. It's in Pennsylvania. It's in August, and
not that far.
Chase, not that far. He's in Pennsylvania. He's
Rent
getting
a van,
married.
We could all go. Get us all in
You
the
know,
van.
Alan could show up apparently because one of Alan's friends is going to be there, D'Angelo the Flame. Yeah, you could show up to this one, Alan. It's in D'Angelo will drive. I'm sure he's got the he got the wheels for it. But he's having a wedding. I don't know why he's still doing
So
this.
he's having a wrestling like.
So
like
he
an
wants
event?
to have basically what he wants to do. Like think of it like a WrestleMania, or like a Super Bowl thing. He's getting married, but at the same time, he's holding like this big, massive like wrestling super show. He's putting like all these people on. Actually, a lot of them come from Sportswire. In fact, Alan knows a lot of them. Actually, a lot of the people, Alan, you know, actually, there's like 6 wrestlers you probably know personally or friends with. But
So maybe Alan should crash that party.
well, I mean, Alan's a free agent. If he'd like to wrestle, I mean, I'm sure that D'Angelo could, pull a string or two.
Show up with like a metal chair or a bat.
They actually might need
That's it?
metal chairs because he's going to have to invite so many people, this guy Chase Wakefield, that he actually might need people to bring metal chairs from him. But yeah, it's in Pennsylvania.
Bring your own chair, BYOC.
It's probably it's in, I think central Pennsylvania. It's going to be. It's the end of August, so the Sportswire radio presenters, I'm sure, could be invited because that we could all show up to his wedding. That would be interesting. Chase is a regular on the show every month. He's promoting the wedding through here. He's almost a local guy, and he's getting married. I don't know. I still don't know. His wife is his soon-to-be wife is actually the one who's encouraging him to do this, and he actually says that it's his. At this point, he needs the chair. So see what I mean? There you go. BYOC. So
There you go.
there you go. Bring the chair. He'll have to need it.
BYOC.
Well, every time so before we go, I know Alan wants to kill me. He wants to get to closing thoughts. But what I will say is every night I'm on Sportswire, to Mr. Wakefield's credit, he comes on the stream, he shows up, and then all of a sudden it's like the bat signal. I talk about the wedding, we get into a conversation, and I invite all my guests. I have people from the UK. I get people that are now doing promo wrestling. Basically, they're talking their matches and all the other people. And now they all want to be invited. And now the Sportswire presenters should be invited because you guys are on the stream and you guys are all locals. And Alan's friends with D'Angelo LaFlame, who's from Alan's way. So at this point, this guy Wakefield, he'll need so many people at his wedding to show up. He'll have to probably move it to a different venue. Probably, Hopefully he can afford it because he's, I'm not the one getting married. I could afford the wedding, but he's gonna want. Hopefully,
maybe you could sponsor the wedding. You could pay for the wedding sponsor. It'd be like, Sportswire presents Chase Wakefield.
You just gave him. Now he's gonna mess because he messaged me on Facebook before I went on the air. He's gonna hold me to that now. He's gonna probably want me to do that now. And he
might be worth it. It might be worth it. You can have Alan come out of nowhere, and crash the party.
But at this point,
considering everybody up.
You know what? I got to be honest. My mother's not here. Her wedding cost like $30,000. This guy's wedding is going to cost like 4 times that much. The people that I've been here that want to get invited, this guy's going to
cost that much. Wow.
How many people? Listen, I'm on every night. I get 1, 2. I've been on Chase.
How many people he's going to have?
He might have 150, 200 wrestlers at this point. No joke. He's got family and friends. He might have 500 to 1,000 people there. I'm serious because I'm on every night. Chase is in the chat. I'm here. We've done 2 shows since he's announced this. We've probably been on. I've had 60 shows.
Where is the venue? Like he's going to have all these people.
Probably Pennsylvania somewhere. He probably has to change the venue now because I keep inviting people on his behalf. I'm serious. He's going to have to probably change the venue.
1,000 people is going to have to be at like.
I think he might because you have to think about it. His wedding's not till August. It's not till August, and on top of that, I'm going to be having show after show after show. So everyone's like, "Oh, I want to be invited now." I had UK guys.
This might be a golden opportunity to be. Like, I have a event of the year.
I'm sure now he's going to want me to fund the whole wedding. Sure, now. I mean,
Sure. Hey. Rob will kick in some money too.
Well, he better get me more YouTube views then. He better get me more YouTube and if he really, we're going to have to really get the numbers up. The viewership has to really go up then. But I don't know about that. I'm sure I'll sponsor something on his behalf. I don't know if I'm going to spend $100,000 on his behalf. I mean, his bank account's supposed to be big. I thought he had a big bank account.
Okay.
But we'll see. But he'll be here in a few weeks. He'll talk about it. We'll all be invited, I'm sure. He'll give the date. But let's get to closing thoughts here because we certainly ran the gauntlet here. And Alan Michaels, I know that you want to try to stay trendy and get your beauty sleep. So let me give you your closing thoughts. And hopefully that fish stick sandwich was good because apparently you might be trying competitive eating for fish sticks after what you started the show. But
What
until
happened
then,
to the eating contest? Why
we were
can't get
talking
that?
about that when Randy was here. And,
Yeah.
we were talking about it.
So the TSF crew, we don't do a annual fantasy football draft, and Matt had too many drinks, but
Which
we did
one?
the whole
You?
eating contest and didn't record any of it. We were a little bit too inebriated, but yeah, Big T won. He dusted me. Not gonna lie, I'm gonna admit it.
Wow.
He beat me.
Well, my
Maybe you
condolences.
could have a rematch on Sportswire Radio.
I would love to do that. I
It'd
mean,
be the
we will-
rematch of the century right here.
I mean, will you show up and not get sick this time? But I think you won't have an excuse this time, Alan. I think something tells me that you could compete in this. But in the meantime, Alan, if you want to throw some closing thoughts out there and fire away.
Yeah, we're on the road to the playoffs now, and the wild card teams are popping out. The Broncos had a good showing against the Falcons.
Broncos got a big win, surprising win there against those Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, I mean,
Broncos are
a
good.
definitive win. The NFL.
How about those
I mean,
Steelers yesterday? Don't bring that up.
Yeah, the Browns get the better of them. It's going to be a wild ride at the playoffs. I mean,
Seahawks 49ers. How about that Seahawk win last week?
Yeah, I mean, it's making it harder for the 49ers to actually look like they're going to make the playoffs. I mean,
I think the
if they
49ers are in trouble. I think
they don't have
Purdy's out
Brock
this week,
Purdy.
too.
They don't
Purdy
have
and,
Brock.
and Boza are both out.
Yeah, and the Packers, we're coming off
You
okay.
You
okay,
won.
first
Win's
half
a
of the
win.
season. Yeah, I
There you
mean,
go.
it is what it is. But I honestly think the Packers is going to make the playoffs this year. We have a good shot. I'm still going to be streaming on Twitch, making YouTube videos.
Tag me on Instagram as you've been doing. Tag me on Instagram.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I'm excited for this next chapter in my life.
Yeah, you're doing really well. We had a good show tonight. We had nice turnout. Turnout was good. People were tuned in. So, yeah, it was good to see you. And happy Thanksgiving. Gobble, gobble.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Did you see my TikTok? I posted the video of, all the turkey. Did you see my TikTok?
No, I didn't. I'm
I
checking
was
it out.
crossing the street, and there was 30 turkeys. And I took the video. And it was
Oh, my God.
TikTok is
Staten
viral.
Island turkeys.
Yep, I saw it. I'm going to tell you where I saw it. It was on Westcott Boulevard and Chandler Avenue in Westerly. In fact, I'll pull it up on TikTok here before. I got to show it to you because it was kind of a funny video. It actually got some views. It got 700 or 800 views. People were asking me, wow, that's New York City. And I was like, yeah.
I'm going to ask a stupid question. Are you guys allowed to hunt?
No,
Like,
it's not allowed. Not allowed at all.
No.
Nope, it's illegal. And to be honest, you shouldn't hunt and kill them. I'll be honest. I don't think you should do that. I know people can say, "Oh, he's a pacifist. Oh, he's a part."
Are you a vegetarian?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
I am
Just
not. But I don't eat turkey though. But not because of this.
Okay.
But there's turkey. See, there's a bunch of them.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, it is kind of nice. I mean, I've seen deer, geese. The geese were today. The geese. I was actually praying the geese wouldn't get hit by a car, but they seem to have good senses. But that's the turkeys there. But yes, that was where we live, and yeah, the happy
There's
Thanksgiving,
so many.
Alan. There's so many of them. Deer. Well, the deer are not as many anymore. The deer they've actually done.
turkeys.
Well,
Do
the
turkeys
deer
come right up to
they,
your lawn? Like, do they hang out in your backyard? Like, what do they do?
No, not where I live. No, because
Okay.
I'm on the main road. No, but the
Yeah.
cemetery where I live is where they gather there. But no, but the deer we were proud. But they did a vasectomy program, and it's actually
Yeah.
cut a little bit of it out. But the turkeys are a problem. Alan, I know you want to go to bed, so I'm going to let you run. I'll see you.
Appreciate
And,
it.
Happy Thanksgiving, Alan.
See you soon.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Go Packers.
Yeah.
Go Pack Go.
Thanks.
Yeah, he left. Let me go to Justin Gianelli next. I'm going to put your social media up and anything else you want to plug, share, or say, and the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. Good to be back again with you guys. Another fun Friday night show. I just saw adding to the baseball free agency, so some lists of players that got non-tendered. There's actually some pretty good players here who surprisingly got non-tendered. One including all-star closer Kyle Finnegan.
That's a big name.
I was
Nationals.
surprised, right?
Yeah, that one came as a big surprise. Austin Voth, who had a 1.05 whip this year, had a really solid season as well. He got non-tendered Cal Quantrill by the Rockies.
Could be a pitcher.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of relievers.
I saw Royals and Reds made a trade as well today, right? Jonathan India.
Yeah, Jonathan India goes to the Reds. I'm sorry, goes from the Reds
Did
to
you
the
guys
Royals.
talk about that trade on the MLB Talk, or you missed that?
No, we didn't talk about that.
I don't know
yet.
if we. Yeah, I don't think we hit that. No.
It just came down today. India
Okay.
goes to the Royals. Yeah.
Also, the stadium in Tampa Bay, right? Looks like might not be happening. I noticed also another news.
Yeah, it looks like the new stadium deal is going to fall through now with this whole situation in
They
St.
might move
Pete.
to a different city. That's crazy.
They might have to. I don't know what the future holds for the Rays. Obviously, they're going to play at Steinbrenner Field this year.
Two teams playing in practically minor league spring training facilities.
Embarrassing.
It really is.
It really is. It really is.
imagine the
because
NFL
A's
doing
play in
that?
Sacramento.
And two franchises that have had success. The Rays and Athletics are not teams that have been bottom feeders. These are teams that have recently won. These are teams that the Rays were in the World
The A's are a
Series.
historic franchise.
Yeah, the
A's-
A's were good for like a long period of time, and the Rays were in the World Series and won 99 games last year or something like that. And you know, it's embarrassing. Baseball's, I don't know.
It really is.
Now they're just the A's.
It's a bad look on the sport, honestly.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
But yeah, that's all I really had. I know you had Randy on before talking a little bit of hockey at the end. Great win by the Devils last night over the Carolina Hurricanes.
Devils are playing very well right now.
They're playing extremely good hockey. Markstrom's playing well. And they're finding their footing on the defensive end because Brett Pesce and Brendan Dillon are getting settled in their roles, and Dougie Hamilton's healthy, and that was the key to everything falling apart last year was the Hamilton injury, and him being back on the power play has really lifted this Devils team, and Jesper Bratt's on fire. Heischer's had a great start to the year, and Jack Hughes he's Jack Hughes. He needs no introduction. So Devils play well. They're arguably one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, and usually the stat is I think it's like 75% makes the playoffs if
By
you're-
NHL Thanksgiving.
by American Thanksgiving. So Devils are putting themselves in a good position.
Yeah, I think the Devils definitely seem like coaching change. They're back to where they were. Guys are healthy, and
Sheldon, it's not. It honestly, it's night and day watching the structure of this team, going from Lindy Ruff to now Sheldon Keefe. It's night and day, and I said this at the time. The group that the Devils have defensively is better than any group defensively that he had in Toronto. And look at the star power and the lethal scoring.
yeah, I think Neil made that point in one of his early
and then
podcasts.
the lethal scoring with Matthews, with Marner, with Tavares. They were just unbelievable. But
Yeah.
and the Devils have that lethal scoring now with a solid defense to go with it. So things are looking very bright for this team.
No question about it. We'll definitely get into a little bit more of that as we can in the coming weeks. And thank you, Justin, for that. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And Zilla wishes everybody
Yeah.
a happy Thanksgiving as well. Chris, let me pass the baton to you. Let me give you some closing thoughts. I'll put your X up. Looking forward to the shows this weekend. I'll definitely play them in the rotation. I'll send you the MLB Talk, the MP3. And the floor is yours, good sir.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it, guys. Great show as always. I'm looking forward to football this weekend because there's no Jets to watch, so that's great. So now we can just sit back and enjoy NFL football. Really good primetime games, right? Philly, LA is going to be good Sunday night, and then Monday night you got Baltimore at the Chargers. So
Very
I
big
like
game.
both of those games.
Our friend Anastasia Rossini, a huge Chargers fan. Chargers breathed a sigh of relief last Sunday. Yep.
Yes. So, and they look pretty good, in the 4:00 games, Arizona, Seattle, a battle for the division. San Fran, like we mentioned, they're going to Green Bay, but you got no Purdy. So you can either have, I think Brendan Allen is their
Brandon
backup.
Allen's going to be the quarterback.
Oof. So Green Bay's, listen, it's set up for Green Bay to win that game. So hopefully they take care of business. But yeah, just going to enjoy football this weekend. the weekend before Thanksgiving, and then Thursday is going to stink. You know, we got 3 not so good matchups on Thanksgiving.
There's only one interesting team. That's the Lions.
Right. And
they're probably going to clobber the Bears.
Yeah. I
Well,
know.
you never know. I mean, listen, what was it last year? Everybody said, the Lions were going to win. And, right, wasn't it Green Bay that beat Detroit, right? Was it? What am I thinking of that last year?
Yeah.
You know, you never know. Listen,
Hey,
Pittsburgh lost to Cleveland.
I mean, Giants-Cowboys is going to be awful.
Although that's going to be
you know what you guys have to do? Enjoy the night slate this week. The Sunday night game, Eagles-Rams, is going to be a barn burner. I think a lot of points are going to be scored in that game.
That's going to be good.
And then you get the Harbaugh.
Yeah, Monday night.
Yeah,
the primetime games are going to be great. So
those are going to be great games. Better than what we saw in the Monday night version. Yeah, that's going to be great. And yeah, you might want to have different plans. Yeah, that's good stuff there. But thank you, Chris, for that. Happy Turkey Day. And yeah, we'll definitely.
You guys too.
We're going to do a show. I just don't know when. But I am going to do one regular sports show between now and the 6th. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, I'll take this off the screen. Rob, you got the last word tonight. I'm giving you the floor, giving you some closing thoughts. Welcome back. And hope you're feeling better. And take it away.
Great show, guys. Listen, the NFL is not only giving us turkey, they're giving us cutlets for Thanksgiving. So that's a bummer. But what are you gonna do? Sunday's gonna be better. At least we don't have to sit through and waste our time with the Jets, like Chris said, because that 28-27 loss to the Colts.
That was that's one you're going to remember. That was a stinger.
That was just, that was just awful. But we have another excellent episode of MLB, NY MLB Talk. Coming up. You said you're gonna play tomorrow, which is
I'm
good.
gonna play it tomorrow. Yep, I'll be here tomorrow with it.
And yeah, and also I just wanted to say the Hall of Fame. We'll see what happens. I think it's gonna just be 3 guys. That's it.
I just don't see Jones getting in. I think that Wagner is gonna get in. It would be a disgrace if he doesn't get in that close. In his career, he was a Hall of Famer. Wagner, to me, was. I mean, there's no clear, and he ended his career dominant. He never had a bad season. I don't even know why Wagner had to wait this long to begin with. I think that's a disgrace to begin with. I never heard anything of him being bad with the press. I never really heard him anything of any sorts. I really don't get that one. That one's to me more of a crime than McGriff. I know McGriff didn't get in because of the stupid 7 home runs he didn't hit, but I mean, Wagner's career was just, he never had a bad season. I mean, there's really nothing that should have said to you otherwise. Wagner's in. Jones, I think, should get in. I just don't see him getting in, next year. I think it'll be, he's going to be close. I don't know if he gets in, to be honest. I still don't know if he gets in because he's at his 8 years. So that means he's got 3 more years.
Well, we'll see what happens.
If he moves to 67, so he's going to get to 70. He's going to be close. He needs 13 more percent, 13.2. He's got to move 5. He's got to move, to me, 4 to 5 points. He's got to get to 2/3 this year. He gets to 2/3. They'll get him in. And then we know about Beltran. And Wagner's career, 422 saves. I mean, the body of work is just, he's got 1 bad season. I'm looking at it here. 2000. That's it. 1. He's an all-star 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 times. He got Cy Young votes twice. Saved 40 games 2 times. His last year, 37 saves in a 1 ERA. Saved 30 games 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. I mean, come on, that's a joke. Strikeouts.
Another good reliever too is Frankie Rodriguez had some.
I brought him up. Well, did he have something? But didn't he have something happen with him years ago, right? Remember?
Yeah.
He did.
He punched his father. He punched his father-in-law in the locker room.
Yeah, he had
that's right. Now you're right. Right.
He had something happen with him. I think that's. But he's another guy. I mean, his numbers are identical to Wagner's. 437 saves. He led the league in saves. 62 saves before. All-Star 4 times. He had big years, even at the end of his career, 40 plus saves. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, 30 saves or more, 40 saves, 6 times. I mean, yeah, but I think he did something that's, holding him back.
Yeah.
That's just the problem with
Oh.
him. I don't know. Again, like an Omar Vizquel. Omar Vizquel is a Hall of Famer, but he did something really stupid. I mean, unfortunately, it is what it is. Yeah, thank you, Joe. We're praying for you. Thank you for your support. Thank you, everybody. What a great show. We had nice turnout. Thank you to Randy Dillon, Alan Michaels. Thank you, everybody here in the chat. Had a live chat. Had a lot of fun. I'll be here tonight, 10 o'clock Eastern time with Dominic, the YBW champion. I'm here with a chronic gamer promoting an event Sunday at 9 o'clock. And we were joined here by Justin Gianelli, formerly of the Baseball Banter, Sportswire Radio analyst, Chris Pizzaia, host of the Liftoff Jets, New York MLB Talk, and Rob Marasca, longest Sportswire Radio tenured analyst, also co-host of the New York MLB Talk. These guys are all Sportswire Radio Hall of Famers. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice figuratively and literally, but all wrestling matters. And if you're on Sportswire Radio, you're going back to your regular scheduled program. We will do a regular show. I'll let you know when, and you'll get more details of that. But until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on the number one global radio station that is Sportswire Radio, where all wrestling matters and all sports matters. Yeah, he was definitely a machine gun, but he's in the Hall of Fame. He will be. And at this point, Chase Wakefield will need more chairs, and we'll need more chairs soon enough here on Sportswire. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy your day, and I'll see you later. We'll see you.